Chapter 26. Kaguya agreed to rest, and everyone was happy. Facing this cheerful atmosphere, Kaguya looked at Horitake, shook his head and smiled bitterly. No one has ever united my subordinates and my children to force me to obey. Even my wife can't do this. Horitake, you are really an amazing man. Horitake couldn't help but burst out laughing. Should I be proud of this? His laughter triggered laughter from everyone, and the serious and heavy atmosphere just now was swept away. I don't know how long it has been since I heard such hearty laughter in the Yubayashiki family. After a pause in laughter, Yubayashiki took Kaguya's hand and asked Horitake, Mr. Horitake, as long as father takes good care of his health, will the curse be able to be dispelled? Horitake replied solemnly, as long as the master takes good care of his health and as long as I am strong enough, I will be able to dispel the master's curse. Don't worry, I will improve my strength as soon as possible. Hina nodded. Another thing to note is that I can remove the curse from the body of the current master, but I can't cut off the curse of the Yubayashiki clan. As he said this, Horitake looked at Kirya with his spiritual vision, and sure enough, there was also a wisp of black gas in Kirya's body. Although this wisp of black gas was very small, it did exist. Master, I saw that Master Kirya also has a curse in his body, although the curse has not yet taken shape. Kaguya also became serious. If that's the case. Yes, I can wear away the curse of being a master, I can wear away the curse of Master Kirya, and I can even wear away the curse of Master Kirya's child in the future, but I can't keep doing this. Still need to eliminate the source, Kibutsuji Muzan. Only with his death will the curse of the Yubayashiki clan be completely lifted and all the tragedies end. Kaguya nodded, looked at the three people in front of him, and said in a serious tone, so, I'm going to leave this up to you all. Please kill Kibutsuji Muzan. Xingming clasped his hands and shed tears while chanting the Buddha's name, My Lord, rest assured. I will do everything I can to send Kibutsuji Muzan to see the Buddha, Amitabha. Mitsurai clenched her fist and expressed her confidence, Me too, I will definitely become a pillar as soon as possible. Horitake said casually and unrestrainedly, My lord, you may not know this, but my dream is to cut Kibutsuji Muzan into thin slices, dry them, and hang them on trees, slowly drying them into bacon. After they expressed their true feelings, the atmosphere among them became warm and exciting. Horitake noticed that Kaguya's spirit was a little depressed. He understood that Kaguya had already said a lot and was running out of energy. It's getting late. I've disturbed you for a long time today. Why don't we say goodbye now and go back to have a good rest? Kaguya also felt that it was about right and nodded with a smile. Horitake looked at Kirya, then at Hina, Master Kirya, please help the master share the work in the future. Miss Hina, please take good care of the master. Besides. After saying this, Horitake faced the partition door over there and said, Madam, please keep an eye on the master. I can tell from my guess that the master might be working secretly when no one is paying attention. Madam, please keep an eye on him. Let him have a good rest. A gentle voice came from behind the partition door, Don't worry, Mr. Horitake, I will keep an eye on my husband. We will help too. ×3, this is the echo from Kaguya's other three daughters. Kaguya could only smile bitterly, he was now completely controlled. Is this the nth time he has smiled bitterly today? I can't count how many times my lord, who is usually calm and composed, has been helpless so many times today. Horitake and the other two stood up, walked outside, and prepared to leave. Kaguya expressed his gratitude to Horitake again, Horitake, this time you not only saved the son and daughter, but also helped me so much. If you can successfully help me solve the curse, you will be a great benefactor to our Yubayashiki family. The Lord's words are too serious. In fact, if you think about it carefully, what Kaguya said about being a great benefactor is not false. Think about it, Horitake has saved Kaguya's son and daughter. If his curse is resolved, he will have saved Kaguya's life. Thinking about it this way, Horitake is not a pillar yet, but his position in the Demon Slayer Corps is already second only to the first. Wait until Horitake solves Kaguya's curse, wait until he becomes a pillar, wait until his strength becomes stronger. By then, Horigaku's position in the Demon Slayer Corps might be equal to Kaguya's. There is something going on with this matter. Of course, Horitake hasn't thought that far yet. He is just thinking that such a good boss like Kaguya can't die at such a young age. Just like that, Horitake and the other two said goodbye to the Kaguya family and left the Yubayashiki household. Then, seeing Ming had other things to do, so he said goodbye to Horitake and Mitsurai. Just as Horitake and Mitsurai were about to leave, a member of the hidden clan ran out of the Yubayashiki house and stopped them, shouting, "Master Horitake! Master Kenroji Mitsurai! Please stay!" Horitake looked at him running over and asked, "What's the matter?" The hidden team member said respectfully, "Hello, my name is Goto, and I'm a member of the cage. The Lord has just given instructions that you two can take your team uniforms first. The clothing department of the Demon Slayer Corps Logistics Department is nearby." "Oh, right. The Lord also ordered that because Lord Horitake killed a powerful demon, Lord Horitake be promoted to a C-class swordsman." Horitake nodded, "I understand. Thank the Lord for me. That, Mitsurai-sama is also very powerful, but because he has no achievements, he can only be a GUI-level swordsman. Mitsurai doesn't care about this kind of thing, it doesn't matter, I believe I will be promoted soon. Well, I will lead the way for the two adults. Please go this way for the clothing department. Thank you for your help." Led by the hidden team member Goto, Horitake and Mitsurai came to the clothing department. Once you enter the clothing department, it's like entering a large, ready-made garment factory, filled with all kinds of fabrics, sewing machines and other equipment. Several hidden members are working on sewing machines. Goto, along with Horitake and Mitsurai, found a member of the hidden guard who was busy working on a sewing machine. "Hey! Maeda! There's work coming." The Inub tailor named Maeda, who was wearing round-framed glasses, looked up from his sewing machine and asked, "Ah? What kind of job?" Goto introduced Horitake and Mitsurai. "These two are Lord Horitake and Lord Kenroji Mitsurai. The Lord has ordered us to select some uniforms for these two lords. Lord Horitake is a C-class swordsman, and Lord Kenroji is a GUI-class swordsman, don't make any mistakes." "Oh, Class C and Class GUI." Maeda stood up, looked at Horitake with an expressionless face, then looked at Mitsurai, and his eyes immediately lit up. For some reason, Horitake felt like something was wrong. Maeda suddenly became very motivated from his decadent state. He said earnestly, "Please wait a moment, I will go and prepare the uniforms." Having said that, he ran away. A few minutes later, Maeda brought several sets of Demon Slayer Corps uniforms and handed them to Horitake and Mitsurai. "Why don't you two try them on to see if they fit you? The changing room is over there." The more Horitake looked at Maeda, the more he felt something was not right. He couldn't help but think about it a little more. Before Mitsurai tried to try on the clothes, she stopped her. "Sorry Mitsurai, I'll change first." Then, under Mitsurai's somewhat puzzled look, he entered the fitting room carrying the uniform. Chapter 27. Horitake carried several sets of uniforms and entered the fitting room first. He searched everywhere in the fitting room. No cameras, no holes to peek into, nothing weird, nothing out of place. "This is strange, is it possible that I am wrong?" Horitake began to doubt himself. After changing into the Demon Slayer Corps uniform, Horitake walked out of the fitting room, looked at himself in the mirror outside, and moved around to get a feel for it. Goto asked Horitake in a flattering manner, "How is it?" "Master Horitake, does it still fit?" "Yeah, they fit pretty well, let's take these." Goto immediately helped Horitake pack up the uniforms. The next person to enter the fitting room was Mitsurai. Horitake watched the tailor Maeda calmly the whole time and found that he did not make any unusual movements. He just looked at the door of the fitting room expectantly, waiting for Mitsurai to come out. What on earth is this guy doing? The door of the fitting room opened, and Mitsurai poked her head out with a red face, then walked out with some distress. When Horitake saw Mitsurai's current uniform, he was stunned. "Oh my god! Open-chested clothes! Open-chested tops! Mini skirts! Isn't this the clothing from Mitsurai's original novel? So this is where it all started?" Facing Horitake's burning gaze, Mitsurai was shy and timid. Is this really the uniform of the Demon Slayer Corps? Why does it feel a little bit?" Tailor Maeda remained calm. "It doesn't matter, it's always like this, it fits perfectly when I put it on." Mitsurai, who is a bit gullible, expressed doubts. Is that so?" Goto couldn't stand it anymore and pointed at Maeda's nose and cursed, "Maeda! Is your old problem coming back again? Ah? Does it matter? Isn't it better this way? Isn't Lord Horitake enjoying the feast for his eyes?" Horitake rubbed his nose to prevent the nose from bleeding. and sneered at Maida. Haha, I am indeed feasting my eyes, but you, the BD tailor, still need to be taught a lesson. Rising Dragon Fist. Kaigaku knocked Maida flying with one punch, and Maida fell to the ground, unable to get up. Horitake looked at Goto expressionlessly again and motioned for him to turn around. Goto turned around obediently, not daring to make the slightest movement. Looking at the somewhat silly Mitsurai, Horitake held his forehead helplessly. Mitsurai, you've been tricked by this tailor. Change your clothes back. I'll ask this BD to find you some normal clothes. Is that so? There was no other way, so Horitake pushed this gullible girl into the fitting room and asked her to change clothes. Maida also struggled to get up from the ground, covering his swollen chin, and looked at Horitake with resentment and fear. It's normal for you to be afraid, why are you complaining? After Mitsurai changed her clothes and came out, Horitake grabbed those inappropriate clothes, piled them on the ground, poured lamp oil on them, and burned them in front of Maida. When Maida saw the burning uniform, he became completely desperate, as if he had lost hope in life. He lay on the ground, pale and powerless. Goto next to him was terrified. Lord Horitake, did you intend to start a fire by setting fire to the clothing department? Seeing that the pile of clothes was almost burned, Goto quickly put out the fire with a bucket of water while it was still under control. Ah, what happened here? A gentle voice came. Horitake saw that she was a great beauty. She has a pretty face, a gentle and calm temperament, black and purple hair, a kocho-like headdress, and a haori with kocho patterns. This beauty is none other than the Demon Slayer Corps' insect pillar, Kocho Shinobu. Looking at Kocho Shinobu who was smiling gently, Goto bowed quickly. Ninja adults. Horitake also said hello, Sister Shinobu. Kocho Shinobu was stunned, as if he was blown by a breeze. As far as I can remember, no boy has dared to call himself Sister Shinobu. She became interested in this strange boy. I've never seen this person before, young man. Are you a new member of the Demon Slayer Corps? Horitake smiled and introduced himself to Kocho Shinobu. Yes, I'm a new member of the Demon Slayer Corps. My name is Horitake. Hello, Sister Shinobu. Horitake. I seem to have heard of you somewhere. Kocho Shinobu put his palms together, a little surprised. Could it be that you are the one who defeated the vicious burrowing ghost at Fujisaki Mountain and was called the strongest newcomer, Horitake-san? Ah? It's me, but has my name spread so widely? Of course Horitake-san, we the Hashira have heard of your name. This is really, very frightening. Kocho Shinobu saw the burnt, smoking cloth on the ground, and noticed Maida lying on the ground next to her. Then she saw Mitsurai, who looked a little silly, and combined with her own experience, she guessed what had happened. Although he still smiles, it is obvious that Kocho Shinobu's smile is dangerous. Oh my, it seems that this lecherous tailor has not changed his bad habits. Horitake was surprised and realized something. Could it be that Sister Shinobu has also encountered this kind of clothing? Yes, when I first joined the Demon Slayer Corps, this guy gave me a uniform that was quite embarrassing. I burned those clothes in a rage. Maida's expression at that time was exactly the same as it is now. Horitake-san, I didn't expect you to use the same method to teach Maida a lesson. Maybe we have a telepathic connection, right? I see. Horitake couldn't help but start imagining what Kocho Shinobu looked like in an open-chested miniskirt. Ah, Horitake-san, you seem to be thinking of something rude. Kocho Shinobu appeared in front of Kaigaku at some point and looked at him with a smile. This dangerous smile was really unbearable. Horitake felt a chill down his spine and quickly tried to remedy the situation. Well, I'm sorry, it's because Sister Shinobu is so beautiful. I can't help it, haha. Oh. Kocho Shinobu looked at Horitake and said, a child with a flowery mouth won't be liked by others. Mitsurai watched the interaction between Horitake and Kocho Shinobu. For some reason, she felt annoyed. She walked over and seemed to be asking questions, but in fact, she was interrupting. Master Shinobu, what is the matter with you coming here? Kocho Shinobu gave Mitsurai a meaningful look. It's nothing important. It's just that my clothes have been damaged a lot due to the recent battles. I happened to pass by here and came to pick up some new clothes. Tailor Maida suddenly appeared and approached Kocho Shinobu with a flattering look on his face. Oh, why bother Master Shinobu to come in person for such a small matter? Just give me a call and I will personally deliver the clothes to the butterfly house. By the way, Master Shinobu, I have recently designed a few new styles of Demon Slayer uniforms, would you like to? Mr. Maeda. Kocho Shinobu smiled, yes. Would you like to try my bug breath? Let's not do it. Maeda broke out in a cold sweat. Why don't you help me find some normal clothes? Yes. I'll go right away. Sensing the obvious murderous intent, Maeda quickly slipped away. I believe he would not dare to do anything tricky this time. Goto covered his head, helpless. Horigako looked at Kocho Shinobu with admiration, she is worthy of being called Sister Shinobu. After getting the clothes, Kocho Shinobu said goodbye to everyone with a smile and left. Soon, Mitsurai also got the normal Demon Slayer Corps uniform, and the two left the clothing department together. Although they were reluctant to part, Horitake and Mitsurai still planned to part ways at the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters and go their separate ways. Chapter 28. Mitsurai was very reluctant to part with him temporarily, but Horitake was very calm. Meili, don't be so depressed. It's not like we won't see each other anymore. If there's anything, we can contact each other through the crow. Mitsurai has some small surprises. Really, can I really contact Lord Horitake through the crow? Don't call me Lord Horitake. I always feel weird with this title. Although I saved you before, we are more like friends now, right? Really? Horitake Dai and I. Are Horitake and I really friends? Of course, is this true? Don't you consider me a friend, Mitsurai? Of course I consider Horitake a friend. That's great. Meili was secretly delighted and her cheeks blushed slightly. Horitake waved goodbye to Mitsurai. Mitsurai, goodbye. Be careful when you go out to kill ghosts. Make sure you keep yourself safe first. Watching Horitake leave, Mitsurai also said goodbye to Horitake loudly, I understand. Horitake, you should be careful too. Goodbye. The two left temporarily. After leaving the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters, Horitake walked on the road, feeling very happy. This time, he passed the final selection, joined the Demon Slayer Corps, met Yume, became closer to the Yubayashiki family, was promoted to a Class C swordsman, had a preliminary acquaintance with Kocho Shinobu, and officially became friends with Mitsurai. Although it took a lot of time, we got a lot done this time. With a happy mood, Horitake quickened his pace. Unexpectedly, a small incident occurred near evening. Hey! This mountain is mine. I planted this tree. If you want to live like this, leave some money for passage. No money left for bribes. Kill them but don't bury them. Horitake stared at the group of masked men in amazement and fell into self-doubt as he listened to their opening remarks. Is this a bandit? It's not surprising that there are bandits here, but what's with the bandits' opening remarks? Is it a mix-up? They don't look like a bunch of idiots, do they? These bandits are wearing neon clothes, holding all kinds of weapons, and look murderous. They are all ugly. Yes, Horitake could only describe them as a bunch of misshapen melons and jujubes, and describing them as a mob was an insult to the word mob. Horitake stood on the road, surrounded by bandits, and fell into deep thought. However, his thoughts turned into fear in the eyes of the bandits. Ha ha ha, boss, look at him, he's been scared silly by us. The clothes this pretty boy is wearing are quite strange, it seems to be some kind of uniform. Hey? I've never seen the fabric of his clothes before. It must be some high-end fabric. Could he be a rich man? But boss, he has a sword on his waist. Wouldn't he be difficult to deal with? What are you afraid of? I think this sword is just for show. Come on, brothers. Take it away. Don't even let go of his clothes. Yes. Boss. Veins popped out on Horitake's head. Since when did these few people dare to challenge the Emperor? It just so happens that the power of the Gale Sword technique I just acquired has not been tested yet, so I will use you bunch of misfits to sharpen the Gale Sword technique. Steel Flash. Wind Barrier. Step forward and slash. Wild Wind and Absolute Breath slash. Horitake used a set of Gale Sword techniques smoothly. Wind blades whistled along the mountain roads, accompanied by constant screams of panic. Bandits flew all over the sky, and blood spurted from the air. By the time these bandits fell to the ground, they were breathing out more than breathing in. The bandits, who were completely annihilated, shed tears of regret at this moment. We were clearly trying to pick on the weak, but how come it suddenly became a case of kicking a steel plate? Kami-sama, we refuse to accept this. The god said, I don't care whether you obey or not. Horitake sheathed his sword, feeling the sharpness of this gale sword technique. Yes, this set of swordsmanship is very powerful, and it gives me a lot more ways to fight the enemy. But... Horitake looked behind him and saw bandits lying on the ground in various strange shapes. The wind sword technique was first introduced in this world, and it was not used to deal with evil spirits, but this kind of thing? If Yasuo knew about this, he would cry, right? Ignoring these rubbish, Horitake continued on the mountain road, continuing his journey under the stars and the moon. He didn't know that when the gale sword technique was first introduced, the guys he was dealing with would soon become ghosts. Half an hour after Horitake left, it was completely dark. A fierce and powerful ghost appeared on this mountain road. He looked at the bandits on the ground with interest. This ghost is in normal human form, with muscular body, short pink hair, dark blue striped tattoos all over his body, and a few words in his eyes, Upper Moon, 3. This demon is none other than 12 Kizuki, Upper 3, Akaza. If Horitake knew about this situation, he would definitely be shocked. Not only because he almost ran into Akaza, but more importantly. Although this is outside the mountains, the headquarters of the Demon Slayer Corps is located deep in the mountains. What does Akaza's presence here mean? Did he come here by accident, or has he already figured out the general location of the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters? Akaza looked at these bandits with great interest. Dead? No, these guys are still a little bit alive. Now that you have come across it, make use of it. Perhaps you will get something unexpected. Akaza stuck his hands into the bodies of several bandits and transfused his ghost blood into them. As expected, after experiencing pain and screaming, these bandits mutated from humans into ghosts. The bandits who had turned into ghosts felt the powerful force in their bodies. They cheered and jumped for joy, their faces excited and ugly. I turned into a ghost. Ah ha 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 ha. What a powerful force. What a powerful force. I feel like I can knock away 10 of my previous selves. This is a ghost. Ha 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 ha. It's really powerful. I won't die anymore. Akaza looked at these misfits and began to doubt whether his decision was correct. He frowned, very impatient, kneel down. Plop. The knees of several mountain bandits seemed to be sucked by the ground. They all knelt in front of Akaza, bowing their heads to the ground, feeling Akaza's terrifying momentum and sweating profusely. They had been so proud just now, but suddenly they fell into extreme panic, as if they would fall into the abyss in the next second. There is no way. The upper-level ghosts suppress the lower-level ghosts too much, especially those ghosts that are directly transformed by blood. Akaza, as their creator, has even greater suppression on them. Looking at these misshapen things, Akaza said impatiently, now that you've become a demon, don't think you're invincible. The sunlight and the Demon Slayer Corps' Nichiren blades are your nemesis and can kill you. I believe that no matter how stupid you are, you will not take the initiative to bask in the sun. But if you are foolish enough to provoke the Demon Slayer Corps and get killed by them, wouldn't that be a waste of my blood? If you don't want to be killed, then go eat humans. Eat more people and become stronger. You will become so strong that the Demon Slayer Corps can't deal with you. You will become so strong that you can slaughter the Demon Slayer Corps. Also, you useless guys, I turned you into ghosts because I have a mission for you. First, look for a plant called Blue Spider Lily. Second, find the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters in this mountain. Third, kill as many swordsmen of the Demon Slayer Corps as possible to weaken the power of the Demon Slayer Corps. Just 3 simple tasks, do you understand? You idiots! Wow, these are really 3 very simple tasks. Chapter 29. The tasks Akaza gave to these mountain bandits also had different levels of difficulty. For a few mountain bandits, the third task is possible to complete, the second task is very difficult to complete, as for the first task. Kibutsuji Muzan didn't even do it. It can be seen that Akaza is simply using a few bandits as cannon fodder. The few bandits had no idea what Akaza was thinking, so they could only kneel down and accept the task tremblingly. After talking about these tasks, Akaza left immediately, not even bothering to look at them anymore. This scary guy finally left. Several bandits stood up with lingering fear, their bodies covered in cold sweat, their brains dulled by fear, and their thinking slowed down. Who said that becoming a ghost means you won't die? They almost died just now, okay? After finally recovering from the fear, A mountain bandit ghost asked the mountain bandit ghost leader. Boss, regarding the 3 tasks assigned by that person just now, we... The leader of the mountain bandits shuddered and yelled, of course we have to do our best. Isn't it just finding 2 things and killing a few people? We are ghosts now. Apart from not being able to come out during the day, is there anything else we can't do? Looking for that blue spider lily, right? There are so many species of plants in the mountains, it must be easy to find. And finding the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters, it's such a big place, it must be easier to find. Killing the swordsman of the Demon Slayer Corps sounds a little difficult, but it doesn't matter, we will gradually become stronger, and one day we will be able to kill them all. Ignorance is truly fearless. Even Kibutsuji Muzan may not be able to do these 3 things, but in the mouths of these bandits, it is as easy as sprinkling water. If Akaza were still here, after hearing their ignorance, she would definitely regret turning them into ghosts. It was a sheer waste of blood resources. One of the bandit ghosts had an idea and proposed to the bandit ghost boss, oh yeah, boss, now that we've become so strong, why don't we go and seek revenge on that BD? That BD almost killed us. He was talking about Horitake. The bandit leader thought about it and was a little tempted, but he felt something was wrong. Touching his big bald head, the bandit leader finally remembered, oh right. The uniform that person was wearing just now. Could it be that the person just now was from the Demon Slayer Corps? Ah? No way, boss, are we so unlucky? What should we do? Do we still seek revenge? The leader of the mountain bandit ghost slapped the mountain bandit ghost away and angrily shouted, revenge, revenge, what the hell? Didn't that lord just say that the Demon Slayer Corps' Nichiren blades can restrain us and kill us? Are you planning to die? Find a way to hide first, eat more people, and then seek revenge when you are stronger. Horitake had no idea that so many things had happened here after he left. He hurried back all the way and finally returned to Doshin. Climbing up Momoyama, Horitake looked at Jiguro's cottage opposite and felt like he was returning home after a long time. Horitake was so full of energy that he shouted towards the hut, you old BD. Zenitsu. I'm back. I made it through the final selection. A gust of wind blew by, no one answered, no one came out of the house, and no one greeted Horitake. Only a few leaves fell from the tree. It's a bit embarrassing. Horitake patted his head, he was also confused, Jiguro and Zenitsu should not be at home at this time, they should be training in the mountains. However, my voice was so loud just now that it must have spread throughout Doshin. As long as they hear it, they will definitely come. Here it comes. Horitake sensed something and turned to look. Help, help. Big brother, help. I'm going to die. Zenitsu. Stop running. Go back and continue your training. From afar, Jiguro and Zenitsu were chasing each other. Zenitsu was running very fast while Jiguro was chasing him closely. The 2 of them raised a cloud of dust and ran towards each other from far away. Seeing that they were still so energetic, Horitake felt much more relieved. Zenitsu still had tears of fear on his face. The moment he saw Horitake, he seemed to have seen his savior. His eyes lit up and he ran over quickly, hiding behind Horitake in a flash, his hands still tightly grasping Horitake's clothes. This useless look made Horitake very upset. Si Wulang held up his cane and quickly chased after him, come back. Zenitsu, stop hiding behind Horitake. Go back and continue your training. Zenitsu poked his head out from behind Horitake and yelled hysterically, no. Absolutely not. That level of training will kill people. I will definitely be trained to death. Big brother, help me. Stop protecting Zenitsu, brat. Let him come out. There are more black lines on Horitake's head, no. Old man, I finally came back and passed the final selection. Don't you have anything to say when you see me? Jiguro slammed his cane to the ground, and the target of his anger became Horitake. I do have something to say. What do you want to say? Are you going to praise me? Oh, there's no need for that. That's not it. Ah? What is that? Jiguro suddenly flew into a rage and roared at Horitake, you little brat. You haven't come back for so long. After passing the final selection, you ran off to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters without a word. There's not even a message from you, at least you could have asked the crow to deliver a message back. You know what? You didn't come back when you were supposed to, and I thought you were dead. If I hadn't asked Jiaoya to go to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters to inquire, I wouldn't have known that you had gone to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. Would you die if you let the crow report your safety in advance? Facing Jiguro's violent roar, Horitake's eyes narrowed and a drop of cold sweat appeared on his head. The way this was done really doesn't seem very authentic. After passing the final selection, he did not let Yagakai return to Momoyama to report his safety, but went directly to the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters. The trip back and forth took a lot of time, resulting in him not returning to Momoyama when he should have, which made Ji Wulang worried for a long time. This was indeed something that Horitake was not right, and Horitake could not refute it. After humbly accepting the scolding for several minutes, Horitake chose to pull out Zenitsu behind him to share the firepower. Old man, I was wrong this time, that's enough, I've learned my lesson. Look, Zenitsu has been lazing around behind me for a long time, why don't you continue to train him? Zenitsu was desperate after being dragged out by Horitake to take the blame. Brother, how could you do this? Am I your junior fellow apprentice? Stupid you Doudou, my brother is here to be sold, don't you know? After saying this, Horitake added fuel to the fire against Jigoro. Look, old man, you've already trained a swordsman for the Demon Slayer Corps, so why don't you plan to train another one? Sai Wulang thought about it. He looked at the shameless Horitake and suddenly had the illusion that his trumpet skills were ruined. Since the big trumpet has failed, you need to pay more attention to practicing the small trumpet. Jigoro grabbed Zenitsu's collar and dragged him away. Before leaving, he said to Horitake, you little BD, you've made me worry for so many days, you need to make amends to me. I want to have a big meal, and you have to cook for me yourself. Remember, this is a feast. Don't treat me with just some ordinary soup or water. Zenitsu was dragged by Jigoro, unable to struggle, wanting to cry but without tears. Help me, big brother. If I keep training like this, I will die. I will definitely die. Chapter 30. In his daily life in Momoyama, Horitake rarely cooks. Whenever he cooks, it means there is a happy event, or a festival to be celebrated, or Horitake is in a good mood today and wants to show off his cooking skills. Horitake is an excellent cook, and he is good at traditional Chinese dishes. When Horitake cooked for the first time and Jigoro tasted his food for the first time, he was impressed by the delicious food and would miss the taste from time to time. Later, Jigoro kept urging Horitake to cook, but unfortunately Horitake refused with various reasons. He only showed off his cooking skills on occasional days. Fortunately, Jigoro is not a person who is obsessed with food. He also understands the principle that scarcity makes things valuable. He is satisfied if he can occasionally eat the Chinese food made by Horitake. As for Zenitsu, he had been in Momoyama for less than 3 months and had yet to taste Horitake's cooking. The reason why Horitake has such good cooking skills is that he was forced to do so. When he was an orphan, he didn't eat well. Later, when I grew up and was able to make money, in addition to eating Japanese cuisine, what I did most was to cook by myself and recreate the dishes I had eaten before I traveled through time. It's not bad. Neon's products are quite rich, and the necessary ingredients and seasonings are all available. Horitake's reproduction of Chinese cuisine is quite successful. I cooked for myself like this, and after a long time, I accidentally became a chef. After he went to Doshin, he cooked less often. Although he cooks less often, it doesn't mean his cooking skills have become rusty. In order to prepare a big meal to apologize to Jigoro, Horitake went down the mountain to the town to buy ingredients and came back with a lot of things in big and small bags. After coming back again, Horitake discovered that Jigoro was still practicing Zenitsu, so he temporarily rescued Zenitsu from Jigoro's clutches. Old man, let's let Zenitsu off for now. I'm cooking a big meal and I need someone to help me. I think Zenitsu is pretty good. After all, he's the one who cooks most of the time. It can't be too bad to have him help in the kitchen, right? Zenitsu had been trying to avoid training for a long time. Hearing this, he came running over. Brother, I'll help in the kitchen. Just give me whatever you want. Sai Wulang was helpless, but for the sake of the feast, he turned a blind eye. Horitake walked in front, and Zenitsu followed Horitake like a follower, carrying big and small bags. Zenitsu looked at the chicken, duck, fish and meat in his pocket and couldn't help but feel curious. Brother, can you really cook? He glanced at Zenitsu with disdain. What do you mean by no? I'll let you learn something new today. Back home and into the kitchen, Horitake rolled up his sleeves and prepared to get to work. Next, Horitake began a dazzling operation in the kitchen. With his hands on the chopping board, the pot, and the spoon, one exquisite Chinese dish after another was born and sent out of the kitchen like an assembly line and delivered to the table in front of Jigoro. Zenitsu was amazed at Horitake's various operations. She performed her job as a kitchen helper very well. She washed vegetables when she was asked to, wiped the table when she was asked to, and served dishes when she was asked to. She was as diligent as a waiter and as attentive as a lackey. Finally, the meal is done. Jigoro, Horitake, and Zenitsu sat around a round table filled with a variety of Chinese dishes, all delicious and eye-catching. There should be a BGM here, which is the same BGM in the Cooking Master Boy, The Great Wall. Gulp, Zenitsu couldn't help but swallow his saliva. There was no way. Smelling the fragrant aroma and looking at the table full of red and green, he couldn't help himself. However, the elder Jigoro had not picked up his chopsticks yet, and Horitake, the author of this feast, had not picked up his chopsticks either. How could Zenitsu, a guy at the bottom of the food chain, dare to pick up his chopsticks first? Horitake acted very calm. After all, he was knowledgeable and experienced. Ci Wulang actually couldn't help himself, but in order to reflect the dignity of an elder, the old man still maintained a certain reserve. Ci Wulang picked up his wine glass and began his pre-dinner speech. Well, Horitake, as my eldest disciple, successfully passed the final selection and joined the Demon Slayer Corps. He also killed a powerful evil demon, saved many people, and was valued by the Lord. Congratulations! Today's dinner is to celebrate Horitake. Of course, it is also to apologize to me. Come on! Let's have a toast. Ci Wulang was in high spirits and drank the wine in his glass in one gulp. Horitake was not going to be outdone, and following Jigoro's actions, he drank the wine in one gulp. The only one who was a little miserable was Zenitsu. He was the only underage among the three people present and could only drink juice instead of alcohol. Ci Wulang was not the kind of person who followed fussy rules, so after the celebratory words were spoken, the banquet officially began. The three of them could finally start enjoying the food, and 3 pairs of chopsticks rushed towards the various dishes on the table. Eating delicious food and drinking some wine, Ci Wulang was so comfortable that he even fell into self-indulgence. How wonderful it would be if every day of life was like this. Horitake ate each dish and nodded secretly. Well, not bad, my skills haven't deteriorated. My cooking skills will also be one of the important means to attract girls in the future. Zenitsu was completely absorbed in the eating, constantly trying every dish. Every time he tasted one, he exclaimed that it was delicious, and his mouth was almost full of oil. Brother! What is this dish? Boiled beef. So spicy. So numbing. But so fragrant. How about this one? Braised lion's head. Lion's head? Where's the lion? But it's delicious. How about this? Dongpo pork. It's fat but not greasy, it's simply the best. And what kind of fish is this? Steamed sea bass. This kind of fish is really best when steamed. It was a big meal and the 3 of them were very satisfied. Their appetites were greatly satisfied, and the 3 of them sat slumped on the tatami in an ungraceful manner. The dining table was full of leftovers and a mess. Horitake used a toothpick to pick his teeth while commanding Zenitsu, Zenitsu, stop lying there, go clear the table, wash the dishes, and clean the kitchen. Zenitsu was too lazy to move, but he didn't dare to disobey Horitake's will. He could only support his lazy body and clean up reluctantly. After Zenitsu left, Horitake and Jigoro sat opposite each other, drinking tea and starting a casual conversation. The content of the conversation was nothing else but the situation of Horigaku's final selection. Apart from the need to conceal the existence of the system, Horigaku briefly recounted what had happened in the past few days, and Jigoro nodded as he listened. I see. Master, I am very pleased that you can help others in Fujiksi Mountain. Oh? That little girl named Kenroji Mitsurai, is she the stepson of the current flame pillar? A burrowing ghost. It can move underground even during the day. It is indeed a difficult ghost to deal with. It seems that the Lord thinks highly of you. When talking about Yubayashiki Kaguya, Jigoro was a little hesitant. After careful consideration, he said the following to Horitake, Horitake, you are so. Forget it, since the Lord has recognized you, I won't say much. I just hope that you will work hard to kill demons and contribute to the Demon Slayer Corps in the future. Horitake nodded solemnly and agreed, I will. By the way, Horitake, are you really confident that you can resolve the Lord's curse? Chapter 31. Jigoro asked about Kaguya's curse, and Horitake answered seriously, not yet. Just give me some time and let my strength grow further. I am sure I can remove the curse for the Lord. If you can really remove the Lord's curse, Horitake, you will be doing the Demon Slayer Corps a great favor. The Lord, he supported the Demon Slayer Corps when he was young, and he worked diligently and never dared to be careless. He treats every swordsman of the Demon Slayer Corps as his own child, and he always believes in his subordinates. Unfortunately, due to the curse of the Yubayashiki clan, the Lord's health is getting weaker. It can be seen that Yubayashiki Kaguya is indeed very popular and loved by everyone in the Demon Slayer Corps. Even a retired old man like Jigoro respects the leader very much. Horitake's solemn promise, don't worry, old man. I will improve my strength as soon as possible. C.I. Wulang nodded slowly. Suddenly, the old man's tone changed and became less serious. By the way, what's the situation with that girl named Kenroji Mitsurai? Is she the future wife you mentioned before? Horitake was dumbfounded. How should he answer this? After a long pause, Horitake could only give an ambiguous answer. Miri, she, I treat her as my future wife, but not the future wife I mentioned before. Do you understand, old man? Jigoro condemned Horitake righteously, you little jerk. So that's what you think. You want to have your cake and eat it too. Your idea of having two cakes at the same time is terrible. Horitake also gave up. Stinky old man, don't make me sound so dirty, and don't try to show off how noble you are. I don't believe that when you were young, you never thought about having girls all over your body. Besides, nowadays, what's wrong with rich and powerful people marrying more than one? This kind of thing is very common, right? That's true, but you will be despised if you do this. They are jealous. Isn't that too thick-skinned? The old man and the young boy quarreled with each other, but neither could convince the other. Little did they know that Zenitsuo in the kitchen heard what they said, and while washing the dishes, he was crying and resentful alone. Damn it! Big brother is actually too timing. It's really, too enviable. Why can't I encounter such good things? Those women I met before, I am so unwilling to accept it. In the tea room over there, no matter how Jigoro condemned him, Horitake remained unmoved and stuck to his original intention. C.I. Wulang was so angry that he was out of breath and didn't plan to continue persuading her. Forget it, brat, it looks like you're not going to change. But I still want to remind you that no matter what, you must never play with girls' feelings. You must be responsible for them and for your own actions. If you capsize one day, I won't care. Don't worry, the boat won't capsize. Horitake waved his hand proudly. The boat is tied together with iron chains, it's like walking on flat ground. You little brat! You still want to chain the boat? Just kidding. Just kidding. But having said that, old man, after I get my Nichiren blades in a few days, I will be going on a mission. By then, I won't be able to come back and live here since I'm away from home all year round. C.I. Wulang was mentally prepared for this. Now that you have grown up, you naturally need to be independent. I have no objection to this matter. Just remember to come back and see me occasionally. Don't forget me. Look at what you said, Doshin is also my home, how could I forget you? Fortunately, I am not the only disciple you have now. Even if I go out, you still have Zenitsu by your side. Although this boy is timid, he is a good person. I feel relieved to have him by your side. C.I. Wulang nodded, then thought of something, and a well symbol appeared above his head. Zenitsu is okay, but I am annoyed by the fact that he often skips training. Holding the teacup, Horitake comforted the old man. The monk can run away but the temple cannot. If he dares to run, just catch him and train him to death. How can a young man not endure some hardship? Zenitsu is going to join the Demon Slayer Corps in the future, how can he do that without strength and courage? C.I. Wulang was in a dilemma. As for his strength, I can still work hard to train him and improve his strength, but this kid is too timid. What can I do about this? Don't worry, once Zenitsu is strong enough, his personality will naturally become more confident. All cowardice and inferiority come from lack of strength. You just need to train Zenitsu harder, and leave the rest to time. Well said. I thought so too. The sound of the conversation between the master and the apprentice could be heard in the kitchen. and Zenitsu shivered as he listened, and began to plan his nth escape plan from Momoyama. In the following days, just as the master and disciple had talked, Jigoro trained Zenitsu even more diligently, and Zenitsu was trained to death every day. Occasionally, when Jigoro needs to rest, Horitake will take over and train the disciple on behalf of the master. Horitake's training scares Zenitsu more than Jigoro's training. If the training is not completed, Jigoro will mainly scold him, but Horigaku will really beat him. After being beaten by Horigaku many times, Zenitsu began to yearn for Jigoro's training. Jigoro's training was hard, but he wouldn't get beaten. Later, Jigoro found that Horitake's stick training method seemed to be very effective, so he simply let go and let Horitake continue to train Zenitsu. Zenitsu was desperate at that time, and begged Jigoro to train him. Jigoro smiled and answered Zenitsu like this: "I think your senior brother's training of you is quite effective, so let your senior brother continue to train you. Don't look so sad, Zenitsu, cheer up. To tell you the truth, you only have a few days left to maintain such a high training efficiency. In a few days, when your brother's Nichiren blades are forged and delivered to you, he will need to go on a mission and kill demons. This is the duty of the Demon Slayer Corps." After hearing these words, Zenitsu was extremely eager and looking forward to the Nichiren blades being delivered sooner and Horitake leaving sooner. There is no way, Zenitsu is afraid. He is afraid that he will be beaten to death by Horitake before he is trained to death. In fact, Horitake's attack was not that heavy at all. The so-called beating was only enough to leave Zenitsu with a bruised face and nose, the kind that he would be able to fully recover from after a good night's sleep. Zenitsu was timid by nature, and Horitake's training had become a shadow in his heart. Waiting, finally. One morning, Zenitsu brought Horitake's Nichiren blades. Wearing a fireman's mask and a circle of wind chimes hanging on his hat, he is Horitake's swordsmith, Katsuba. That morning, with the sound of wind chimes, Tititsuka climbed up Doshin and came to Jigoro's house to deliver the sword. Because he had to clean up the table after breakfast, Zenitsu was the only one at Jigoro's house. When Katsuka arrived, it was Zenitsu who opened the door to welcome him. Opening the door, Zenitsu was surprised to see the stranger wearing a fireman mask. "Excuse me, are you?" "My name is Tetsuka. Horitake's Nichiren blades are ready. As a swordsmith, I am here to deliver the blades to him." Zenitsu's expression changed when he heard this. Tetsuzuka wanted to continue saying something, but seeing Zenitsu's tearful expression, he was at a loss. Zenitsu held Katsuzuka's hand as if he had met his real father. "You are finally here. Do you know how I have been spending these days?" Ah! Chapter 32. Zenitsu was so excited that he dragged Katsuka into the house and treated him with tea, water, and snacks, and massaged his shoulders and legs and fanned him. He was extremely attentive. How could Tetsuzuka have encountered such a situation before? He sat stiffly on the tatami, feeling a little overwhelmed. Excuse me." "Yes. What can I do for you?" "Excuse me, are you Horitake?" "Me? No, I'm Horitake's junior. Brother Horitake just went out for training." A drop of cold sweat broke out on Gang Hong's head. "You are not Horitake himself, why are you so attentive? It makes me feel uncomfortable." Could you please ask your senior brother to come over and get the knife?" "Okay. I'll go call him right now." Zenitsu opened the door and shouted outside, "Brother! Your Nichiren blades have arrived." The sound was so loud that it echoed among the Peach Mountains. A few minutes later, Horitake and Jigoro arrived together. After opening the door and entering the house, Horitake looked at the waiting Tetsuzuka with some anticipation. "Oh? Are my Nichiren blades forged? Are you my bladesmith? Thank you so much for your help." Several people sat down as host and guest, and Tetsuzuka was finally able to get into his own rhythm. While opening the package of Nichiren blades, he narrated to himself, "This is the Nichiren blades, a sword forged by me. The raw materials for forging Nichiren blades come from the mountains closest to the sun, the red sand iron and the red ore. Therefore, the forged knife can absorb sunlight. Because Sunshine Mountain is a mountain that is illuminated by sunlight all day long, and there are no clouds or rain on the mountain." Hearing this setting, Horitake couldn't help but complain in his heart. Choose the highest mountain closest to the sun, where there is sunshine all day long and there is no rain or cloud. Could you be talking about Mount Everest? I don't believe you can mine iron ore from Mount Everest. Besides, there is an alternation of day and night on Mount Everest, and the sun is not available all day long. So this setting is outrageous. Or is it that there is no such thing at all, and these swordsmiths are just bragging? While he was complaining in his mind, Tetsuzuka had already taken out the Nichiren blades from the box and handed it to Horitake. Horitake took his knife solemnly. Take a closer look at this Nichiren blades. The scabbard and handle of this sword are dark red. The style of the sword is not the traditional Japanese samurai sword, but the style of the Chinese Tang sword. Of course, the reason why it was in the Tang sword style was also because Horitake requested it in advance. Looking at the overall style of the sword, Horitake was very satisfied. Master Tichuojika, thank you for agreeing to my willful request and forging my sword into the Tang sword style. This isn't a difficult thing to do. After all, Japan's samurai swords are derived from China's Tang swords. It's a nice experience for me to occasionally reproduce the craftsmanship of my ancestors. However, I did encounter some difficulties when forging this sword. Oh? What's the problem? Tetsuzuka pointed at the knife in Horitake's hand and said bitterly, I'm not sure what's going on with the piece of jade steel you chose, but it seems to contain lightning. Every time I forged this piece of jade steel, it would shock me in return. After only a few forgings, my arm would become paralyzed. There was really no other way, so several of us took turns forging the sword, and it was only then that we gradually forged it into shape. On the side, the knowledgeable Ci Wulang was also shocked when he heard this. Is there such a thing? The sword with the power of lightning chose Horitake, who used the breath of lightning. Is this fate? Horitake could probably guess what was going on. When he chose the jade steel, he used his spiritual vision to scan it. The piece of jade steel he chose had been struck by lightning, so it might contain some characteristics of lightning. Before Horitake drew his sword, Kaotsuka couldn't wait any longer and urged him, Nichiren blades can change color according to the characteristics of the user. Hurry up and pull out the blade and see what color it will turn into. I really hope it can turn into a scarlet red blade. Horitake was also looking forward to it, and slowly pulled out the Nichiren blades. The Tang Dao style Nichiren blades have a silver-white blade body and edge, which makes them look extremely sharp. As everyone watched, the Nichiren blades began to change color slowly along the handle. Cow Tiwa. Gangtia's Hong was shocked. The Nichiren blades turned into a dazzling purple color, with lightning patterns interlaced between the purple colors, making it look extremely mysterious. Zenitsu was dumbfounded and muttered, what a beautiful purple. This color is the same color as the lightning released when my brother uses thunder breathing. Tititsuka was even more excited, Nani Kaole? What is this? This dazzling color has never been recorded before. It's amazing. Maybe I witnessed a miracle. Jigoro looked at Horitake with satisfaction and suggested, Horitake, please give your Nichiren blades a name. What about naming it? Horitake pondered for a while and came up with an idea. He looked at his knife, gently slid his hand across the blade, and said lovingly, let's name it. Mighty Glory. Its name is the Mighty Glory Blade. Wei Guang? What a great name. Where does it come from? What story is it from? It's not an illusion, it comes from. Horitake Kao wanted to ask where it came from, but suddenly something strange happened. A purple arc suddenly flashed on the blade of might, and the arc flickered in the sky. Everyone present was shocked, and Ci Wulang quickly asked, Horitake. What's going on? I don't know. I didn't use the breath of thunder. It was the lightning itself that released the lightning. Tititsuka was completely unaware of the abnormality and was still dancing around. Is it possible to release lightning on its own? Is that the magic of the jade steel? It seems that I have forged an incredible sword. No. Horitake looked at Wei Guang and denied, it's not what you said. I feel like Wei Guang is provoking me. Provocation. Looking at the flashing purple arc, Ci Wulang was puzzled, provoke who? Provoke you. It is not surprising that Ci Wulang had such speculation. According to legend, some powerful weapons can recognize people. If the user is not strong enough and cannot pass the test given by the weapon will not recognize the user and may even devour the owner. Horitake shook his head and denied this speculation. No, the lightning released by Wei Guang did not shock me. Instead, I felt very compatible with Wei Guang. It seemed that Wei Guang was provoking me. Horitake looked upwards in the direction of the arc of electricity released by the mighty light. Challenging the ceiling? No. Are you challenging the sky outside? That doesn't seem right. Could it be? Horitake had a frightening guess. I don't know when, the sunny weather outside suddenly became covered with dark clouds. Horitake sensed something, opened the door and looked up at the sky. Thick, gloomy dark clouds enveloped the entire Doshan mountain, pressing towards the mountain, giving people a feeling of oppression and threat. Tedious Hong scratched his head, very puzzled. The weather was fine just now, why did it suddenly change? Jigoro's face looked very ugly, as he remembered an incident that happened before, when Zenitsu was struck by lightning and his hair color changed. How similar is this scene to the previous one? However, the quality is incomparable. The dark cloud that struck Zenitsu was only layered and dissipated after being struck. But this time, the dark cloud has covered the entire Momoyama. Thinking of this, C.I. Wulang leaned on his cane and secretly groaned in his heart, why do my own disciples have to go through such inhuman treatment? Chapter 33. Standing at the door, Horitake looked up at the heavy dark clouds in the sky, then looked down at the mighty light of the Nichiren blades in his hand. The purple arcs on the Wei Guang sword increased again, and these arcs pointed straight to the sky. The dark clouds in the sky seemed to be enraged, rolling and surging violently. Seeing this strange scene, Tichuojika also reacted and his jaw dropped to the ground. Masaka. Boom. Snap. Suddenly, there was a loud thunder in the sky. Blue lightning fell from the sky, heading straight for Horitake. The sudden flash of lightning almost blinded everyone's eyes. The violent explosion almost deafened people. Facing such divine power, any living creature would tremble in fear. The timid Zenitsu's legs went weak. He clung to the door frame, looking at the purple arc flashing upwards. His pupils lost focus, and he trembled as he spoke to himself, telling the truth. Could it be that Wei Guang is provoking Tian Lei? Tichuozu held his head in disbelief. How is this possible? How can this sword have its own spirituality? How dare it challenge the thunder in the sky? Did I accidentally forge a divine weapon? Snap! Boom! Accompanied by a loud roar and explosion, 2 more flashes of lightning appeared among the dark clouds. At this time, the system spoke in Horitake's mind. Ding! The host obtained a sword that should not exist in this world, and gave it a name that should not exist in this world, triggering the negative Kochuo effect, the experience of heavenly thunder. Ding! The system issues a task. Please host solve the negative Kochuo effect, the experience of heavenly thunder. When the majesty comes into the world cannot tolerate it. What's more, Wei Guang, with his mere Nichiren blade's body, provoked the thunder in the sky, causing the thunder to be furious. It wanted to destroy Wei Guang. Please, host, hold the mighty power, defeat the thunder, and survive the trial. Warm reminder, if you really have no confidence, just abandon your glory, because it will be destroyed by thunder. The only price you pay is that you will never be recognized by any weapon again. Any spiritual weapon will not follow a person who abandons the weapon. Reward for successful mission, breathing of thunder transforms into breathing of heavenly thunder. The penalty for mission failure, at the least, the prestige will be destroyed, at the worst, the host will die. Horitake listened to this mission with a blank expression on his face. I've been pushed to the edge, you damn system. Do I have any other choice? Also, you stupid system. You are so vague, what is the trial of heavenly thunder? It is obviously a heavenly tribulation. When some magic tools or elixirs were born, they were not tolerated by heaven and earth, so the heavens sent down a calamity to destroy them. If you survived the calamity, you would be perfect. If you couldn't survive, wouldn't you die? For some unknown reason, it seems like the channel has been switched again. This is the world of Demon Slayer. Not some fairy world. Horitake let out a long breath, his mind calmed down and he stayed true to himself. At this point, how can we not bite the bullet and go for it? Success or failure depends on this one move. With a flashing purple light, Horitake walked out of the house with firm steps, stood in the wide open space, looked up at the sky, and above him was surrounded by lightning. Looking at the lonely figure under the dark clouds, Jigoro couldn't help but shout to Horitake amidst the constant thunder, Horitake! Horitake turned around, looked at the 3 people standing at the door from a distance, and forced a smile. Sorry, old man, this is something I have to deal with. Don't bother with me, and don't come over here. Zenitsu looked at Horitake, who was holding his head in despair, muttering, it's over, it's over. We're dead now. That's the thunder of nature. How can we resist it? Brother, this time. Shut up! The furious Jigoro hit Zenitsu on the head with his cane, leaving a big bump. Zenitsu felt pain and covered his mouth, not daring to make a sound. This was the first time that Jigoro beat Zenitsu severely. It was because Zenitsu's words were so unpleasant to hear. Who else should he beat if not him? Zenitsu endured the pain and didn't dare to say a word. He knew he deserved to be beaten for what he just said. What he just said was simply cursing his elder brother. He was also careless. Zenitsu was timid and pessimistic by nature, and if he was not careful, he would say discouraging words. Outside, in the dark clouds, blue lightning continued to flash and roar more and more frequently, and a thunderstorm had gradually formed. And it was a thunderstorm with only thunder, no rain, and no wind. Looking at the roaring and exploding dark sky filled with blue lightning, Horitake, holding the flashing purple light, faced the might of heaven on his own. Suddenly, he burst into laughter with great pride, ha 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 ha. My strongest move right now is Reikari, and Kakashi once used this move to cut through lightning. Now that Wei Guang is challenging me, I am about to face the thunder from the sky. Isn't this God's will? Ha 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 ha. The dark clouds in the sky seemed to be angered by Horitake's laughter. All of a sudden, all the lightning disappeared, and only dark clouds were surging in the sky, as if a big storm was brewing. In the house far behind, Ci Wulang and the other two were all nervous, because they knew it was about to happen. The mighty light in Horitake's hand also converged into a purple arc of electricity, as if gathering strength. The dark clouds in the sky surged and swirled, forming a huge dark cloud vortex. Below the center of the vortex was where Horitake was. Horitake held the mighty light in his hand and stared at the sky. There was no fear in his eyes, only crazy excitement. Everyone! Don't you want to know where the word Wei Guang comes from? Let me tell you, the word Wei Guang comes from a sentence I heard before, and it is very suitable for my current situation. There are always creatures on earth who dare to face the might of thunder. In the center of the dark clouds in the sky, thunder was brewing, and Horitake even saw a blue light beginning to flash. The time is now. Thunder breathing, Type 2, full power, overload. Click, click, click. Dazzling purple lightning rushed out of Horitake's body. These purple lightning flowed down his arms to the mighty light, and the mighty light was instantly stimulated and turned into a purple blade bursting with lightning. In the sky, a blue bolt of lightning as thick as a bucket fell from the sky and struck Horitake directly. Horitake leaps up, pushing himself upward. He swung the blade of mighty light, used the Reikari, and slashed at the incoming thunder. Reikari. There is blue heavenly thunder above and purple earthly thunder below. Which one is better? The thunder and Horitake collided in mid-air, making an extremely sharp and loud crackling sound. Jigoro, Zenitsu, and Katsuzuka, who were watching, were dazzled by the flash of light from the explosion, and their ears were dizzy and tinnitus were stimulated by the sharp sound. However, the flash lasted only a moment, and they still saw what happened next. Horitake was in mid-air, with his mighty power, splitting the thunder from the sky. The thunderbolt as thick as a bucket was split into two, striking into the peach forests on both sides, destroying and blowing up several peach trees. Horitake succeeded. But his body was overloaded in an instant. He fell from mid-air and hit the ground. Horitake. Jigoro and the other two quickly ran out, rushed towards Horitake, and rushed to see him. The thunder used for the test passed, and the dark clouds in the sky failed to kill Horitake, so they had to stop and gradually dissipate. When Ci Wulang and the other two rushed over, the thick dark clouds had already begun to dissipate, and sporadic sunlight was already shining through the clouds. The three of them surrounded Horitake, watching his condition, very nervous, and kept asking how Horitake was. Horitake was lying on the ground, his eyes wide open, his right hand tightly holding the Wei Guang, his body trembling, and blue arcs of electricity flashing on his body from time to time, showing that he was also seriously electrocuted. Chapter 34. Horitake was surrounded by Jigoro and the other two, all talking anxiously and concernedly. Jigoro was even more panicked, fearing that something might happen to his apprentice. Horitake, are you okay? How are you? Are you okay? Zenitsu cried and was about to open his mouth to shout, "Brother, please don't die," but suddenly he remembered the beating he had just received, so he closed his mouth and shrank back. Horitake lay on the ground, staring, exhaled a puff of green smoke, and then took a few quick breaths. Finally, Horitake recovered and his body stopped cramping. He lay on the ground, looking at the mighty light in his hand, and laughed, ha 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 ha, just now you said that Wei Guang didn't test me, but the fact that it dared to provoke Tianlei is a test for me. I took it and tried to break the thunder in the sky. If I couldn't break it, Wei Guang and I would be doomed. Really, if you don't succeed, you'll die. It's really a stubborn knife. I like it. Seeing that there was nothing unusual on Horitake's face, Jigoro and the others felt relieved. The old man also laughed and patted Horitake on the shoulder, ha ha ha, you little brat, you're amazing. You even managed to split the sky with thunder. Katetsuka had never seen anything like this before. He stared at the mighty light in Horitake's hand, and his occupational disease kicked in. He couldn't wait to reach out his hand, brother Horitake. Come on. Let me see your power. This sword can cut through the thunderbolts. There is only one in the world. There has never been one before and there will never be another like it. Unexpectedly, as soon as Gang Dizhu's hand approached Wei Guang emitted an arc of electricity that shocked Gang Dizhu, paralyzing him all over and making his hair stand on end. Horitake slowly sat up, stroked Wei Guang and explained with a smile, this guy has a bad temper. He won't let anyone touch him except me. Steel Tomb was dumbfounded, how can this be? I am its forger. I forged it. Suddenly, Iron Mound was stunned and reacted, no. No. What's wrong? Tedious Hong's expression became visibly depressed, I know my own strengths very well. I definitely cannot make such a divine sword. Maybe this sword was given to Horitake-san by the gods through me. Horitake at this time, !jpg. Kaotsuka grabbed Horitake's shoulders and said to him very seriously, brother, there is a saying in China that God will give great responsibilities to those who are capable of such responsibilities. God has given you this mighty sword. I hope you can make good use of it and use it to kill all the evil spirits in the world. Horitake was a little surprised. This guy actually knew that God had given him a great mission. It seemed that he was not a simple person. Don't worry, I will use my might to my advantage. I will use my might to kill all the evil spirits I encounter. Including Kibutsuji Muzan. Tichuojiki nodded, relieved. He stood up, looked at the sunlight that had reappeared, and sighed, I never expected to encounter such a magical scene today. It was really worth the trip. Then, brother Horitake, I wish you good luck in martial arts. Wearing a hat covered with wind chimes, Tedious Hong left. Horikaku also dusted himself off and stood up. The moment he stood up, the system sounded a prompt in his mind, ding. Confirm that the host is safe, confirm that the Blade of Glory is not damaged, the host has successfully resolved the negative Kochuo effect, completed the mission, and obtained the mission reward. Ding! Congratulations to the host, the thunder breathing has advanced to heavenly thunder breathing. Ding! Warm reminder, the host's breathing method at this time, heavenly thunder breathing, is a stronger breathing method than the initial breathing day breathing, and can release the true meaning of heavenly thunder. In the future, the host will release attacks with the attribute of heavenly thunder, which will be more destructive and more powerful, and will be more restrained against all evil spirits. From now on, the host will use the heavenly thunder breathing to kill ghosts, and the wounds of the killed ghosts will not heal. Horitake was very surprised when he heard this. The reason why ghosts are difficult to kill is because of their terrifying self-healing ability. Now, my heavenly thunder breathing can restrain ghosts. After causing damage to ghosts, the ghosts cannot recover on their own. There is no need to cut off the ghosts' necks. As long as I cause fatal damage to the ghosts will definitely die. This wave is not a loss, this wave is not a loss. With the help of the system, in an instant, Horitake completely learned and became familiar with the new sky thunder breathing, and he could use it with ease, and his combat power was further increased. Ci Wulang next to him seemed to sense something. At that moment, Ci Wulang felt that his eldest disciple seemed to have undergone a transformation, as if he had suddenly transformed into some kind of advanced creature. Although it was strange, Ci Wulang did not say anything. At this time, the dark clouds in the sky completely dissipated, and the weather turned sunny again. Looking at the warm sunshine, Ci Wulang complained, really? My two disciples were struck by lightning one after another. Zenitsu scratched his head and smirked. Horitake also didn't know whether to laugh or cry, maybe our thunder-breathing lineage has a special connection with thunder. Just as he finished speaking, Horitake saw a black crow flying out from the peach forest, fluttering to Horitake's shoulder, and opening its loud voice, Horitake is an adult. Horitake is an adult. I will tell you the mission of the Demon Slayer Corps. I will tell you the mission of the Demon Slayer Corps. 60 kilometers to the northeast, people are constantly disappearing in Dongma town. Find the evil spirit hiding there and defeat it. Sure enough, it was the crow that came to convey the mission. Zenitsu was a little indignant about this, and waved his arms to drive away the crows. Please, my brother is in this state, how can he go on a mission? At least let him recover from his injuries. Get out of here. There are so many people in the Demon Slayer Corps, why not let someone else do this mission? The crow was driven away by Zenitsu, and it hovered in the air with its wings flapping, as if observing Horitake's physical condition. Horitake stretched his body, looking confident. It's okay. My body was just a little numb just now, but now it has fully recovered. There is no problem going out to complete the mission. Brother, don't force it. I'm not forcing myself. I really don't have any problems. If you don't believe me, why don't we practice? That's better not to do. So, Horitake carried the Wei-Guang back to the house, put it back into the sheath, changed into a clean Demon Slayer Corps uniform, put on a dark purple cloud pattern feather ornament on the outside, took his personal belongings, and wore the Wei-Guang around his waist. Everything is ready. Horitake and Jigoro say goodbye. Old man, I'm leaving. Si Wulang acted very calmly. Go. A fully fledged bird should fly high. Go and kill demons. Protect people and make contributions to the Demon Slayer Corps. Horigaku nodded and turned to look at Zenitsu. Zenitsu, you have to take good care of the old man while I'm away in Momoyama. Zenitsu stood straight, looking like he had been given a mission. Yes. Don't worry, big brother. Why do I feel like you're so happy that I left? Horitake looked at Zenitsu suspiciously. Ah. Zenitsu broke out in a cold sweat and tried to cover up. No. No. Absolutely not. Brother, you are leaving Momoyama, I really don't want you to. Really? I feel like you're eager for me to leave. How could Horitake not understand Zenitsu's little thoughts? He snorted coldly and warned Zenitsu, when I'm not around, you have to train hard and not let the old man down. If I find out that you are still avoiding training, I'll ask for leave from the Demon Slayer Corps and come back to train you twice as hard. Zenitsu was sweating profusely and nodded tremblingly. After completing the final instructions and briefings, Horitake bowed to Jigoro, left Momoyama, and set out on the journey of killing demons. Chapter 35. May I ask, what do you think of your first mission as a member of the Demon Slayer Corps? Horitake said he had no feelings. He really didn't have any feelings. He felt it was just a normal mission. Just go there and kill a ghost and it would be done. It was very simple. It's not that Horitake is being Versailles. Ever since he used his mighty power to cut through the heavenly thunder, and since his breathing method was advanced to heavenly thunder breathing, Horitake has been overflowing with confidence. If any demon below the upper rank of 12 Kizuki encounters me, they will all die. When 12 Kizuki upper rank meets me, he will also think carefully. Even if I'm unlucky enough to meet Kibutsuji Muzan, I have the confidence that I can make Muzan suffer a loss. There's nothing we can do. It's not that we are arrogant, it's because we are really strong now. With this thought in mind, Horitake's every move and gesture carried the aura of a strong man and the bearing of a superior. After a long journey, Horitake arrived at the Dongma town mentioned by the crow that afternoon. With a sword on his waist and a crow on his shoulder, Horitake walked in Toma town, observing the situation in the town calmly. He handed the raven a berry, as if he were feeding his own pet. Is this the town? It's said to be haunted by ghosts. The crow nodded intelligently, took the berry with its beak, and after eating it, rubbed Horitake's fingers affectionately, as if it was licking a crow. These crows are all trained and have very high IQs. They also know that Horitake has a bright future, so of course they want to cling to Horitake as much as possible. Well, let's investigate before night falls and ask the people in the town to see if we can get any useful information. Horitake randomly picked a passerby, a middle-aged woman who was in a hurry. Hello, auntie. I have something to ask you. Ah? What's going on? I want to ask, has anything strange happened in Dongma town recently? Strange thing. Like, has anyone been missing? Or has anyone heard scary noises in the night? After Horitake asked this question, the lady's face suddenly became very ugly, as if she had encountered something very terrible. She quickly stepped back, waving her hands. trying to avoid the topic. I don't know. I don't know anything. Don't ask me. After saying that, he ran away immediately. Horitake did not stop the old lady, but just looked at her back meaningfully. You know nothing? Are you kidding me? No, are you kidding me? It seems that there is something unusual in this town. Horitake continued walking in Toma town, looking for the next passerby to ask. There is an old man plowing the paddy field next to us. He is plowing very hard. Why not ask him? Horitake stood at the edge of the field and greeted as cordially as possible, Hello, Grandpa. The old man noticed that Horitake was waving, raised his bamboo hat, and looked at Horitake in confusion. Ah. Grandpa, I want to ask, has anyone encountered any strange things in Dongma town recently? Ah. I want to ask, is there anyone missing in Dongma town? Is there any crisis? Very loud, ah. Horitake stood helplessly at the edge of the field, silent. Don't think I didn't see that you are playing deaf and dumb. You are a very bad old man. The old man put down his hoe, tilted his ears, and said loudly, I didn't hear what you just said. It's okay, just continue working. Okay. The old man continued to plow the field. His attitude towards plowing was so serious and focused that he almost reached a state of forgetting himself and the world. Horitake was furious. Really, there are all kinds of people. Forget it. At worst I can just find someone else to ask. Over there is an old man with a gloomy look on his face, sitting under a tree by the roadside, with a gloomy face, and I don't know what he is thinking about. Why not go and ask him? Men of this age are generally very reliable. Walking up to the uncle, Horitake bowed slightly, Hello, uncle. Ah. The man seemed to be suddenly awakened. He raised his head and saw the stranger. He quickly stood up and forced a smile that was uglier than crying, My dear guest, what can I do for you? Horitake noticed with his keen observation that when the man was asking him, he secretly glanced at the knife at his waist, and his eyes changed in that instant. Because this moment was too short, Horitake couldn't tell anything from the change in his eyes. Horitake had a feeling that he could get some information from this man. Trying to be friendly, Horitake asked the man, Uncle, I'm a traveler passing through Dongma town. It's almost night time now, and I want to stay overnight in Dongma town. However, I think the atmosphere in Dongma town is not very good. What happened in the town? Is it suitable for me to stay here? The man hesitated for a moment, thought about it, and said to Horitake, Young man, I'm not trying to drive you away. It's because, a couple from our Zhensen Huang family passed away a few days ago. It's not auspicious, so you'd better not stay here. Horitake smiled slightly. A couple from the Mariara family passed away. Information +1. What does it matter? What's unlucky about it? I'm just staying in Dongma town for one night. It just happened that 2 people died, not many people died, right? As he said this, Horitake calmly showed the knife at his waist to the man. Seeing the blade of power, the man's eyes flashed with excitement, but he quickly suppressed it and said to Horitake calmly, Actually, in the past few months, many people in our town have passed away, and they were all couples. It's unlucky no matter how you think about it, right? So you'd better not stay the night. Many people died, all of them were couples, intelligence +2. After hearing this, Horitake was horrified and said, Ah? Is there such a thing? That's really unlucky. Why did so many people die within a few months, and they died one family at a time? Could it be some kind of plague? The man's face turned pale, and he shook his head and said, You are wrong. It's not a plague, nor are families dying one by one. It's couples dying one by one. All of their children are still fine. The couple died, but the child is fine, intelligence +3. How could such a thing happen? This is really strange. And those children who lost their parents are so pitiful. What are they going to do from now on? These children. The man was about to continue talking about the child when he suddenly thought of something and shuddered. His face turned pale and he didn't dare to continue. He looked at Horitake awkwardly, These kids will find a way. They will find a way. They will find a way. The man seemed to be possessed by a demon, and he kept repeating this sentence, There will always be a way, there will always be a way, there will always be a way. It seems that the focus is on the children, intelligence +4. Horitake looked at the man's condition and knew that he couldn't ask any further. Dad! Just as Horitake was about to leave, a little child ran over, hugged the man, and looked at Horitake, the stranger, in horror. This kid's eyes are not right. Although the child was shy, he was not so shy. Moreover, the look in his eyes was not only filled with fear, but also, hatred. It's really strange. This is the first time I see you. Why do you hate me for no reason? At this moment, Horitake realized that there was something wrong with the children in Toma Town. Chapter 36. The man saw his child coming and had a complicated expression. Shintaro, why are you here? The 7 or 8-year-old boy named Shintaro looked at Horitake with fear and disgust, and quickly pulled the man back. Dad! Let's just ignore him. Let's go home. The man stood up, looked at Kaigaku apologetically, and was dragged away by his son Shintaro. Something is wrong. Something is very wrong. Something is wrong from the beginning to the end. This man must have known something, but he didn't dare to say it out loud, so he gave Kaigaku various hints during the conversation. The man's behavior was already wrong enough, but the boy's behavior was even more wrong. Why do you hate yourself as a stranger when you meet someone for the first time? Moreover, when this Nobutaro was pulling the man away just now, he expressed deep resentment towards his father. Looking at the backs of the man and the child, Horitake sensed something and suddenly turned his head to look towards the street. Several children of different ages were secretly staring at him from the other side of the street. The way these children were looking at Horitake was strange. Their expressions seemed to show fear and pity. When they were caught peeking, the children scattered in panic. Something is wrong. Very wrong. Everything is wrong. Especially the children in Dongma Town. Watching the setting sun, Horitake felt that there was an abnormal, depressing and weird atmosphere in this town. There must be a ghost. Maybe this ghost is not very powerful, but the harm and panic it causes are not small. The entire Dongma Town has been tortured by this ghost to the point of abnormality. Let's take a look at the information we have obtained. In general, there are 2 pieces of information. First, those who are missing or dead are all couples. Second, the couple's children are fine, and it is said that the children are still doing well. Depending on the ghost's personality and experiences before becoming a ghost, different ghosts have different preferences and focuses when eating people. For example, Doma, the upper rank 2, doesn't like to eat men, and Akaza, the upper rank 3, almost never hurts women. But this is the first time I've heard of a ghost that only targets couples. Horitake couldn't help but wonder, is this ghost a single dog? Before becoming a ghost, he was always shown affection, so after becoming a ghost, he took revenge on those couples? Of course this is just a joke, this theory doesn't make sense. If it is the resentment of a single person, this ghost should not only target couples, it should target lovers even more. Horitake also noticed that these couples who died or were murdered were all couples with children, and their children were not yet adults. Considering the strange behavior of the children in Dongma Town, there is something fishy going on with these kids. Horitake had an immature guess. His guess needs further evidence from other intelligence. Where can I find other information? Of course I went to find that man. It's not like Horitake is trying to fleece one sheep. He asked so many people, but only the man just now was the most cooperative and gave Horitake a lot of hints without making a sound. Horitake felt that he could definitely get more information from him. This time I can't ask directly, nor can I ask indirectly, I can only inquire secretly. After making sure that there was no one around, Horitake dodged and jumped onto the roof next to him. When he looked up, he saw the uncle and his child. The boy named Shintaro held his father's hand and walked quickly towards home, looking annoyed and uneasy. He muttered to himself, as if he was blaming his father. The man was dragged away by his own child, his eyes were dull and dark, his feet dragged on the ground, and he actually looked like a walking corpse. Horitake jumped lightly between the roofs and followed. Soon, the man and the child returned to their home and slammed the door shut, as if there was some ferocious beast outside. Horitake landed lightly on the roof of their house, and with his spiritual vision activated, he saw what happened to the father and son after they returned home, and also heard their conversation. After entering the house, the man returned to the house like a zombie, sitting limply in the corner, still looking miserable. Xin Talang locked the door tightly and ran into the house. Seeing his decadent father, he stomped his feet and started crying. He cried loudly and accused his father while crying, "Father! Why are you talking to someone you don't know? Do you want to kill me? Or do you want to kill yourself? Looking up at his son, the man said quietly, that person just now, is not from this town, he is from outside. The child was crying and making a fuss. I know about this. I asked you why you were in contact with outsiders. Now it's good. They must have seen you talking to outsiders. I have to report to him tonight. I don't want to go find that monster. I will be eaten by him. Wow, woo. Crying very loudly, the depressed man came over and stroked his son Shintaro's head. Although he was also scared, he tried his best to comfort his son. Don't worry, you won't be eaten by him. In all this time, he has never eaten a child, right? Shintaro collapsed and yelled at the man, but Dad, you will be eaten by him. He specializes in eating other people's parents. While wiping away tears, Shintaro cried loudly, Dad, you've been chatting with an outsider for so long. What if he suspects you of leaking information and eats you? Won't you? I don't want my dad to be eaten. I don't want that. My dad is the only one left to me. The man suppressed his fear and jokingly comforted his son. No, Daddy won't be eaten. Daddy just chatted with outsiders casually for a few minutes and didn't reveal his secrets, right? I know. I believe in Dad too, but... Shintaro cried and sobbed, but he may not believe Dad. He will suspect that Dad has revealed his identity. And he's a monster. If a monster wants to eat people, why would it find any excuse? Narita's parents, Zyahwa's parents, Morihara's parents, and so many friends' parents were all eaten by him. I don't want you to be eaten by him, Dad. Horitake sat on the roof, listening to these words, thinking, wow, that's a lot of information. In the room, listening to his son Shintaro's crying, the man began to lose control of his fear. His face turned pale, but he still tried to appear calm. Don't panic, no, Daddy won't be eaten. When you report to him tonight, stay calm. No matter how he asks you, you just need to keep answering, my dad didn't reveal the secret. Of course, the premise is that you don't anger him, Shintaro, you have to ensure your own safety. As long as you are safe, Dad will be relieved. At this moment, the man was thinking, I hope that the man just now is the legendary demon-slaying swordsman of the Demon Slayer Corps. I hope he can defeat that monster, so that it will be worth it for me to risk my life and give him so many hints. If that doesn't work, at worst, I'll be eaten by that monster. According to his habit, after I die, he will not hurt Nobutaro, because Nobutaro is still a child. Although, without his father, Nobutaro will have a hard time and will be surrounded by him, at least he will not lose his life. At this moment, the father had already made up his mind to die. This chapter is a completely original plot, and it sets up a lot of suspense, so it may seem a bit confusing, but in the next chapter, all these suspense will be revealed. Please read on. Chapter 37. The daytime in Dongma Town is lifeless, and the nights in Dongma Town are even more desolate and uneasy. Even though it was not yet 9 o'clock in the evening and even though the street lights were still on, the shops in the town had closed early and every household had closed their doors tightly, not daring to go out, as if they were afraid of something at night. In this dead silence, there was a knock on Shintaro's door. The moment the door rang, both the father and son were frightened at the same time, and Xiantaelang was so frightened that he threw himself directly into the man's arms. They all knew what was waiting for Shintaro. The door was knocked for the second time. Shintaro was very panicked, but he could only get out of the man's arms. The depressed man looked at his son and patted his head encouragingly. Don't worry, it's okay. The boy held back his tears, walked out, and opened the door nervously. Outside the door was a thin, yellowish little girl holding a lantern and looking uneasy. Seeing that it was this little girl, Xiantaelang felt a little better. It's you, Zyahwa. The little girl named Zyahwa nodded, looked at Zintaro with pity, and said, Lu, Lord Lu asked me to come find you. Xiantaelang shuddered and clenched his teeth. Those bastards, did they tell that, told Lord Lu about my father's affairs? The little girl nodded timidly. Damn it. Xiantaelang was so angry that he said, my dad was just chatting with a stranger. Those bastards told on him. Not only your father, but also Grandpa Narita and Aunt Takagi. Lord Lu knows about anyone who has come into contact with a stranger. What? Shintaro was shocked and angry. Then the children of Grandpa Narita and Aunt Takagi are also. The little girl nodded, confirming Shintaro's bad guess. Damn it. Shintaro cursed again, and this time the target of his curse was Horitake. That outsider is really something. Why did he ask so many people? Doesn't he know how many families he has implicated? Horitake was a little embarrassed on the roof. Can you blame him? It seems that he is indeed to blame. I'm so sorry. To express my apology, I will help you kill that damn Lord Lu. After scolding Horitake, Shintaro was still not satisfied, so he continued to scold the children who reported him, and those bastards. Anyone who tells tales should die. You shouldn't be angry with them. If they don't report the truth, then... At this point, the little girl stopped talking, and her body shivered involuntarily because of fear. Shintaro also thought of something and his face turned pale. The little girl couldn't help but urged Xintalang, Shintaro, we can't dawdle any longer. We have to get to Master Lu in time. Shintaro was very scared and reluctantly agreed, let's go, let's go. The little girl was walking in front holding a lantern, and Shintaro was following closely behind. On the silent street, there were only these two small footsteps, which seemed quite strange. Shintaro's father, the decadent man, stood by the window, looking at his son's back, feeling heartbroken. Sighing deeply, the man turned around and suddenly found someone in front of him. The extremely frightened man screamed, fell backwards and sat on the ground. When he saw who the person in front of him was, he breathed a sigh of relief. It is you. Kaigaku stood in front of the man, pointed to the room with a smile, and invited him calmly, Uncle, can you tell me in detail? Sitting stiffly on the ground, the man seemed a little hesitant. Kaigaku revealed his identity and gave him a shot of adrenaline. To be honest, Uncle, I am a swordsman from the Demon Slayer Corps, and I am here specifically to kill demons. The Lord Lu you are talking about is most likely a man-eating demon, and my job is to defeat him. To be frank, my strength is among the best in the Demon Slayer Corps. There are few demons in the world that I cannot deal with. The man was infected by Horitake's strong self-confidence and demeanor of a strong man. He struggled to stand up and invited Horitake to the room over there. The two sat opposite each other and began to talk in detail. Uncle, as the saying goes, knowing yourself and your enemy ensures victory in 100 battles. I need to know the specifics of this ghost. Please tell me all the information you know. As if he had found a lifeline, the man eagerly recounted everything he knew. That so-called Lord Lu, whose full name is Sijing Lu, has a green face and fangs, and doesn't look like a human. He eats a few people every now and then to fill his stomach. He must be the ghost you mentioned. Uncle, please calm down. I want to know how the ghost of Sijing Road appeared. Did it appear out of nowhere in Dongma Town? Or is it from outside? After thinking for a while, the man replied, it must be from outside. We have lived in Dongma Town for so many years and have never heard of such a monster. Horitake asked earnestly, when did it appear? About half a year ago. How did he stay in Dongma Town for the past 6 months? Speaking of this issue, the man became excited and began to recall the past that he could not bear to look back on. Originally, we in Dongma Town knew nothing about the monster appearing in the town. Later, we started noticing something was amiss when we saw young couples continue to die and go missing. But by the time we realized something was wrong, it was already too late. At this point, the man recalled with great pain, before anyone knew it, in less than a month, that monster had used witchcraft to control the life and death of all the children in the town. For people like us from poor families, our children are our life. The child's life is controlled by the monster, which is equivalent to controlling our entire family. That monster used this kind of sorcery to control the life and death of all the children in the town and thus controlled the entire Dongma Town. We had no choice but to be controlled by him, to the point that when he occasionally wanted to eat a couple, we had to endure it and pretend we didn't see it. The whole town has been trapped in this kind of terror. Who knows who will be the next one to be eaten? Those children who lost their parents were raised by that monster, who forced the poor children to play with him. Occasionally, outsiders come to the town and it's okay if they just pass by in a hurry. But once an outsider comes into contact with the people in the town, this outsider will definitely be eaten tonight. It's because the monster was afraid of the news leaking out, afraid that the news of the existence of a monster in this town would spread. When too many passers-by or outsiders were eaten, the government came to investigate, and we had no choice but to declare them missing. The government officials could not find any clues, so the case was left unresolved. In fact, sometimes we feel secretly happy in our hearts. That monster has been eating so many outsiders, will it stop eating people in the town? But that's not the case. He still eats the couples in the town as usual. If this continues, when will it end? There will be fewer and fewer people in the town, and everyone will become more and more scared until they completely collapse. It would be better to die than to live like that. But we can't die. The lives of all the children in this town are in the hands of that monster. It doesn't matter if we die, but what about the children? We can only endure like this, slowly enduring, in darkness, a life worse than death. The more the man spoke, the more painful it became, and the more uncomfortable he felt. Because of the painful memories, the man's narration was a little confused and mixed, but Horitake still managed to sort out the thread and roughly figure out what the ghost had done and the cause of the disaster in this town. Chapter 38. The disaster in Dongma town came from a ghost named Sai Jinglu. At first, the ghost only ate 1 or 2 couples and did not attract much attention. However, Sai Jinglu captured the children of these 2 families and controlled their life and death through some means. Then, with these 2 children as the center, they called their playmates or friends and controlled more and more children until they had controlled all the children in the town. Finally, by controlling the lives of all the children in the town, he controlled the entire Dongma town. In this way, Sai Jinglu regarded Dongma town as his base, and had been lurking here, constantly eating couples in the town or passers-by. Because he did a good job of keeping it secret, he stayed in Dongma town for half a year without anyone noticing. After understanding the general situation, Horitake still needs to figure out some specific details. Uncle, please stop crying. I desperately want to know what method Sai Jinglu used to control the child. If I don't know this, I will be afraid to take action. If he takes all the kids in this town hostage, I'm going to be screwed. The man said excitedly, it's a kind of sorcery. This monster uses a kind of sorcery that can make plants grow wildly and quickly. It should be some kind of blood vampire magic. Horitake asked carefully, can it make plants grow rapidly? Any plants? How fast can they grow? How powerful is this magic? Very strong. The man said in fear and trepidation, he once summoned everyone in the town and displayed his magic to intimidate us. During that call, he not only made the surrounding thorn bushes grow wildly and form a thorn wall, but also, in an instant, 2 large trees grew out of the grass. Hearing this, Horitake was also a little surprised. 2 big trees grew out of nowhere. Yes. Just 2? Not many trees? Not a forest. How is that possible? 2 big trees are scary, okay. That's good, Horitake heaved a sigh of relief, it's not wood release. What's 2? Nothing. There is one thing I don't understand. The ability of Dead Thorn Road to induce plant growth is indeed very strange, but how can this ability control so many children? The man gritted his teeth, feeling fear and hatred in his heart, because he made every child in the town eat a peanut. Peanut. Yes, as long as he uses the magic, the peanuts in the child's stomach will take root and sprout and grow wildly, taking root in the child's flesh and blood. The seedlings will drill out of the child's belly. It will be a miserable death. Horikaku thought for a moment and looked at the man. From your tone, it seems you have seen this scene before. Yes, yes. During the town's gathering, he demonstrated it in front of everyone. That's how the child who disobeyed him the most died. But won't peanuts be digested and excreted if swallowed? No. At least not the peanuts he gave me. There was once a child who secretly ran away many days after eating peanuts, but he still killed them by controlling the peanuts to sprout. Horitake nodded and fell into thought. It seems that this ghost's blood magic is quite interesting. I've always been curious, if his peanuts are so powerful, why doesn't he feed his peanuts to everyone in town? Wouldn't that be more convenient? I don't know, maybe, he doesn't have that many special peanuts. Maybe, he can't control the germination of so many peanuts. Also, I want to ask, this ghost named Death Thorn Road, could it be a child? At least he looks like a child. When Horitake asked this question, the man shuddered and nodded with lingering fear, yes. It is indeed a childlike monster. And he does have the playful nature of a child. I heard from Tailang that he gathered all the children who had lost their parents around him and forced them to play games with him, and they were indeed all kinds of children's games. Horitake's face instantly turned cold and icy. He ate the parents of those children and forced those children to play games with him, his enemy. How twisted and vicious. Or is it that this ghost has not formed normal human values at all? Horitake also understood another problem. It turns out that the ghost on Saijing Road doesn't only eat couples, but only eats parents with children. Hori continued to question the man, why does this ghost like to eat other people's parents? Is it jealous of others having a happy family? The man shook his head. I don't know about that. After taking a deep breath, Horitake asked one last question, so, where in the town is this dead end? In this way, Horitake learned the hiding place of Saijingla from the man. After comforting the distressed father, Horigaku walked to the entrance of his house, looked at his haggard appearance, and told him, I will go and slay the evil spirits and bring peace back to Dongma town. I will also rescue those children, including your son Shintaro, and he will be safe. After I leave, close the door tightly and do not leave the house until dawn. There may be a lot of noise later, and there may be lightning and thunder. Don't worry, that's the noise I made. After saying that, Horitake went out, jumped high, stepped on street lights and telephone poles, and quickly disappeared into the night. Watching Horitake leave like this, the man felt a long-lost hope in his heart. This lord is so strong, he can definitely kill that monster. Following the man's instructions, Horitake quickly found the ghost's lair, landed lightly on the roof next to it, and observed the house calmly. Well, all the doors and windows of this house are sealed with wooden boards. It really looks like a ghost's residence. Horitake arrived at a coincidence. He just happened to see the little girl bringing Nobutaro over and walking to the door of the ghost's residence. By the way, are these two kids so slow? They just walked from there to here? Or did the two children slow down their pace involuntarily because of fear? No matter how scared you are inside, you've already arrived and you have no choice but to go in. Horitake quietly hid in the alley beside the ghost's residence, turned on his spiritual vision, and observed vaguely through the eyes. The little girl holding the lantern took a deep breath and knocked on the door of the ghost house. Behind her, Shintaro had begun to tremble. Soon, the door opened and it was opened by another little boy. The little boy had empty eyes and looked more like a zombie. After opening the door and seeing the little girl and Shintaro, his expression did not fluctuate at all, like a pool of stagnant water. The little girl named Zayahua was no longer surprised. She carried a lantern and took Nobutaro into the haunted house. In this big house, the little girl took Zintaro around a few corners and came to the door of the deepest room. At this time, Shintaro's body was shaking like a sieve. The little girl knocked on the partition door of the room, and a voice came from inside the room. When the partition door was opened, the scene inside the deepest room appeared before Nobutaro's eyes. There were only 2 lights in the dim room. There were quite a few children sitting in the spacious room. Looking closely at the expressions of these children, none of them are as lively and energetic as normal children. All of them are lifeless and full of anxiety and uneasiness. In the center of these children, there was a figure of a child who was about 10 years old, with green skin, fangs, red eyes, and blue hair. He was wearing loose gray clothes, and the nails on both hands were sharp and long. You can't even call this kid a human being at first glance. Chapter 39. This ghost child is the ghost named Saijingla who has been lurking in Dongma town for half a year and has plunged the entire town into fear. What is Saijingla doing at this moment? He was playing a children's game, an unknown chess game, with a new kid. The child sat trembling in front of the dead thorn road, feeling the malice and terror blowing towards him, and was almost having a mental breakdown. But he couldn't collapse, because if he completely collapsed, his parents. Behind the child, in a closet not far away, were 2 blood-stained people. There were 2 adults, a man and a woman, about 30 years old. They were tied up with circles of wire. The tips of the wires pierced into their hands and feet, fixing their limbs and allowing their blood to flow slowly. This couple is the child's parents. As one of the residents of Dongma town, they were unfortunately chosen by Saijingla last night and were chosen to be Saijingla's next food. And their children are about to suffer the pain of losing their parents and are about to be forced to live with ghosts. The parents were stuffed into the closet in a twisted position. Now they are still conscious, looking at their children in pain and despair, forced to play games with this monster. Saijingla pushed a chess piece to a certain place, then laughed, "Great! I win!" The child opposite was so frightened that his whole body collapsed and his eyes were lifeless. Another girl nearby quickly echoed the praise like a lackey, "As expected of you, Master Lu. You won so easily." While praising against her will, she also clapped her hands and glared at the other children, signaling them to follow suit and applaud. The other children were startled and started clapping. In the dim room, a dry applause rang out, which sounded quite weird. Si Jinglo had no self-awareness at all. He seemed to be a real child king, brushing his messy hair and looking proud of himself. This game is too easy for me. The child who was forced to play chess on the other side stood up and tremblingly asked, You defeated me again. This time, can you let our parents go? What? Let him go? Si Jinglo was unhappy. It's still early, let's play a few more games. The unfortunate child cried and knelt down, begging, I've played so many games, and I can't beat you no matter what, Master Lu. Please have mercy on me. Si Jinglo was annoyed by the begging for mercy. He grabbed the child's hair and pressed his face into the chessboard, saying in a ferocious tone, No. You must continue to play with me. If you can't beat me, I will eat your parents. Only if you can beat me will I let your parents go. Do you understand? The child, whose face was pressed against the chessboard, nodded desperately. The children behind him around the dead thorn road all looked reluctant. They all knew that what Si Jinglo said was pure bullshit. What about letting your parents go if you win? It was totally impossible. Whether he wins or not, his parents will be eaten. Maybe when Si Jinglo gets tired of playing chess, maybe when Si Jinglo really loses the game, maybe when Si Jinglo gets hungry, then he will no longer hide his hypocritical face, and will eat his parents alive in front of the child, letting the child experience the ultimate pain. Don't ask them how they know this, these kids all went through this. There are also children who can't stand the stimulation and go crazy on the spot. Such children will be thrown outside by Si Jinglo. If they are lucky, they will be adopted by other people. If they are unlucky, they will be left to fend for themselves. Sometimes, these children would envy those children who have gone crazy. Although they have lost themselves, at least they don't have to continue to endure this. Si Jinglo let go of the child's head and smiled with a kind look on his face. Go on, another round. The child sat up in a daze, as if his soul was about to fly away. Next to him, the girl who looked like a lackey was thinking that she had to give him a break. She couldn't go on like this and needed to divert Si Jinglo's attention first. I have no choice but to sacrifice you, Nobutaro. With any luck, your father will be fine. The girl quickly said to Si Jinglo, Master Lu, it's been raining for so long, take a break. Xiahua has just arrived with Xin Talang. Don't you have something to ask Xin Talang? Oh? Shintaro is here. Si Jinglo turned around and looked. Xin Talang shuddered, and quickly knelt on the ground and bowed deeply. Street adults. Seeing Xin Talang almost prostrating himself, Si Jinglo smiled and comforted him. Hey, Shintaro, what are you doing? Get up, we are friends, right? A friend of a ghost. This was the simultaneous feeling of all the children present. Si Jinglo waved and asked Xin Talang to sit over, and Xin Talang could only do as he was told out of fear. Si Jinglo put his ghost hand on Xin Talang's shoulder. This gesture seemed to be treating him as a close friend, but the words he asked were full of malice. Shintaro, I heard that your father talked to a stranger this afternoon. Xin Talang's body trembled again. Yes, that's right. So, did your dad leak any information about me? Shintaro knelt on the ground again, his voice trembling. No. Lord Lu. Absolutely not. I was right next to my father at the time and heard their entire conversation. The passerby just asked if he could stay overnight in our town, and my father had no choice but to talk to him for a few words, but he didn't say anything else. Really? Si Jinglo laughed rather creepily. Then why were you so anxious at that time that you dragged your father away? Because I was afraid that Dad would continue talking to that passerby, so I pulled Dad away. Looking at Xin Talang's posture and tone, for some reason, Si Jinglo was too lazy to even pretend. His expression turned cold and he glanced at Xin Talang coldly. Shintaro, do you know how the passerby who talked to your father was dressed? Let me tell you, he was wearing a strange black uniform, a dark purple cloud pattern feather robe, and a knife on his waist. Nowadays, Ronin samurai are long gone. Those who are still carrying swords are most likely my mortal enemies, the Demon Slayer Corps. Having said that, Si Jinglo already revealed his murderous intent. The terrible murderous aura swept through the entire room, and the children were affected by the murderous aura and were on the verge of collapse. Shintaro, who was targeted by murderous aura, was sweating profusely and almost fainted. Si Jinglo's murderous words continued, I have been in Toma town for half a year. I thought the news was well concealed, but I didn't expect that the Demon Slayer Corps would be attracted here. What went wrong? No matter what went wrong, Shintaro, your father dared to talk to my mortal enemy, which has violated my taboo. I've decided. My next meal will be your dad. Shintaro's face turned pale, and he kowtowed in tears, begging, have mercy. Lord Lu. Have mercy. No matter how hard he begged, Si Jinglu remained unmoved. On the contrary, he became more and more annoyed. I really don't understand why you defend your parents so much. How many times have I told you that mom and dad are the worst people in the world? They will force their children to eat things they don't like, force their children to study, and not allow their children to go out and play. In short, they are bad in every way. All parents in the world should be eaten by me. Chapter 40. Si Jinglu's theory was obviously not accepted by the children. None of them responded and they all remained silent. Looking at the dead silence, Si Jinglu shook his head helplessly. Oh, you still can't understand me. I saved you from your parents, so why aren't you grateful to me at all? Fortunately, I am a person who repays evil with kindness. Even if you are still unhappy, I still allow you to live by my side. Let's create a paradise together. How wonderful! This ghost's mind has been completely twisted. Si Jinglu looked down at Xin Talang and comforted him with gentle words for the last time. Shintaro, be obedient and hand over your father. After I eat your father, you can join us. Isn't that good? Xin Talang lay on the ground, his heart filled with despair. He shook his head with a pale face. No. No, I can't lose my dad. It doesn't matter if you don't agree. I'll threaten your father with your life, and he will definitely come over. At this point, Xin Talang was strangely calm. He sat up and faced the dead end, that is to say, if I die, my father will not be threatened by you, and he can escape from Dongma town. Hearing this, Si Jinglu became extremely angry. His evil face could no longer be hidden, and his expression became distorted and terrifying. Shintaro, would you rather die than ask your father to come over? The children nearby were so frightened that they all huddled in the corner of the room. Shintaro was really desperate, facing the road to death with despair and calmness. Yes, I would rather die than have anything happen to my dad. Even if the peanuts take root in your body? Even if the peanut seedlings tear you apart? Even so. Hearing such an answer, Si Jinglu was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. Looking at the unreasonable Shintaro in front of him, Si Jinglu suddenly lost all interest. He stood up, looked around, and said these terrifying words in a calm tone, forget it. Since the Demon Slayer Corps has come, we can't stay in this town any longer. After I eat all of you, I'll go to the next town. After hearing this, all the children broke down and burst into tears, realizing that Si Jinglu could no longer hide his mistake. The father of the couple in the closet shouted in despair, no. Don't you mean to not attack children? Eat me now. Don't hurt the children. Si Jinglu glanced at the man impatiently, I don't eat my partners and friends. They cannot think in the same way as me and are no longer my partners and friends. Let's start with, you, Shintaro. As he said that, Si Jinglu grabbed Shintaro with his sharp nails. Boom! Purple thunder suddenly sounded. A purple thunderbolt fell from the sky, piercing through the roof and 2 floors, and directly hitting the death road. Si Jinglu was totally unprepared and caught off guard. This purple thunder was none other than Horitake himself. Horitake descended from the sky, stepped on Si Jinglu's hand, and blocked in front of Nobutaro at the same time. The sudden change surprised everyone, and they all looked at Horitake, who suddenly appeared in fear, not knowing whether he was a friend or an enemy. Shintaro looked at Horitake and was shocked. It's you. You're the one from the daytime. Horitake stepped on Si Jinglu's hand, turned his head and looked behind him, and smiled comfortingly at Nobutaro. During the day, I accidentally got your father into trouble. To express my apology, I will of course help you and your son solve the problem. After saying that, Horitake looked at Si Jinglu in front of him, who was extremely shocked and angry. It was not very clear to see with psychic vision on the roof, but now Horitake could see clearly that in the red pupil of Si Jinglu's right eye, there were a few words, Lower Moon 2. But this eye has a cross on it, and it is now useless. It goes without saying who abolished it. Looking at the dead end, Horitake smiled grimly, so it's the Lower Moon 2, but he's just the Lower Moon 2 of his predecessor. It looks like he's a loser. Si Jinglo tried hard to pull his hand out from under Horitake's shoe, but he couldn't pull it out no matter how hard he tried. He was mad and angry, and his face was extremely distorted. Are you, a pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps? Me? Not yet, but I guess I will be soon. A hole. Si Jinglo felt insulted and broke the tatami under Horitake's feet into pieces. He took the opportunity to pull his hand free and grabbed Horitake's throat with his sharp claws. Horitake held the sword at his waist, without even drawing it, and kept it unsheathed, swinging it forward as if it were a blunt weapon. Swish! Purple lightning flashed. Si Jinglo was hit by Horitake's scabbard and flew out, crashing through 2 partition doors in a wall, and flew out of the house. Horitake instructed the confused children in the room, hide in the house and don't come out. Also, quickly untie the 2 of them in the closet. After saying this, he quickly left the house. After Si Jinglo flew out of the house, he bounced twice on the ground before stopping and falling to the ground. Being humiliated in this way, the ghost became extremely angry and roared towards the sky. The terrifying ghost roar spread throughout the entire Dongma town. The people in the town were all terrified. They didn't know what was wrong with this guy and could only stay indoors. Horitake dodged and stomped Si Jinglo's head into the ground, while complaining, "Why are you howling so late at night? Don't you know that this will disturb other people's sleep?" The dead Jinglo in the mud opened his eyes wide, unable to bear the humiliation, and swung his body to grab Horitake's legs. Horitake dodged it by flipping over and landing safely. Pulling his head out of the mud, Si Jinglo rushed towards Horitake like a madman, and attacked him angrily. Horitake used his scabbard to push away Si Jinglo's claws. At this time, Si Jinglo's door was wide open and he swung out with his left arm. Bang! A heavy punch hit Si Jinglo's chest, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood, fly backwards, hit a tree, and fall heavily to the ground. Horitake looked at his left fist and fell into thought, Lower Moon 2, that's it? Or did they lose all their energy and ambition after being eliminated? I'm going to kill you. I'm going to chew your bones up and eat them bit by bit. Si Jinglo could no longer describe his anger, and launched a blood demon technique against Horitake, random killing. Swish! Many thorns suddenly grew wildly on the ground around Horitake. These sharp thorns strangled Horitake from all directions. Is this your blood demon technique? It's okay, thunder breathing. Horitake swept the surroundings with the unsheathed sword, and purple lightning flashed, turning all the attacking thorn branches into charcoal. Si Jinglo's face changed, and he activated the blood ghost technique again, waving his hands forward, death thorn kill. Countless thick thorns broke out from the ground. Like countless fine steel spears, they stabbed and thrust at Horitake. Horitake held up his mighty light and stood in front of him. With the flash of purple lightning, all the thorns that came rushing over were blocked by the purple lightning. As these thorns stabbed forward, they were also turned into charcoal by Horitake's purple lightning. Horitake commented, "This move is okay, it's quite powerful." With a wave of mighty power, the purple lightning grew into purple thunder, and the roaring purple thunder instantly defeated all the thorns. Si Jinglo was a little panicked, and dug his hands into the ground, violent killing tree. On the left and right sides of Horitake, 2 large trees grew diagonally. These 2 large trees had few branches and straight trunks, and they slanted towards Horitake in the center to kill him. Horitake jumped up to avoid the impact of 2 big trees, put his feet on the tree trunks, and flashed forward with purple arcs flashing. In an instant, Horitake flashed in front of Si Jinglo, and with the unsheathed sword in his hand, accompanied by purple lightning, he stabbed at Si Jinglo. Si Jinglo was panicked and quickly crossed his arms to block. Boom! The 2 sides collided. Si Jinglo was knocked away again. Chapter 41. Si Jinglo was knocked flying again, and he braked hard on the ground with his feet for a while before he came to a stop. However, he soon discovered with horror that something was wrong with his arms. What happened? My wounds didn't heal. That's right, the wounds on his arms that had just been caused by Horitake's electric shock showed no signs of healing, and blood was still dripping from his arms. This is the power of Horitake's thunder breathing, which can greatly restrain and kill ghosts. Just when Si Jinglo was terrified and puzzled, Horitake flashed in front of Si Jinglo, swung the unsheathed sword downwards, and hit Si Jinglo's shoulder hard. Si Jinglo spat out another mouthful of blood, and fell to the ground with his knees even making cracks in the ground. A hole. Jinglo roared and tried to struggle up and fight back. Horitake remained calm and mobilized the breath of heavenly thunder. Purple lightning followed the majestic light and struck Jinglo fiercely. Suddenly struck by lightning, sparks flashed all over Jinglo's body. He wanted to struggle but he was powerless. He was suppressed by Horitake and knelt in front of Horitake. While maintaining the electric shock suppression, Horitake looked at the town of Toma and said coldly, "Half a year, look at what you have done to Dongma town in the past half year. How many couples have been eaten by you? How many children have been killed by you? The whole town is almost becoming a dead town." In the house over there, the group of children also rescued the parents from the closet. Fortunately, the child who was forced to play chess before was also fine, and the family was barely reunited. The family of 3 hugged each other and cried loudly. The children next to them who had lost their parents looked at them with envy. Nobutaro felt relieved in his heart. Dragging their weak bodies, they looked through the hole in the wall that Jinglo had knocked open before. Everyone in the house carefully observed the battle situation outside, watching Horitake, who was like the god of thunder, suppressing Jinglo with all his might. Jinglo raised his head and saw the couple and children in the house. His teeth bled. All parents in this world deserve to die. Horitake suppressed him tightly, his tone indifferent. "I don't know what you've been through, but don't generalize based on your experience." Horitake continued to press down a little bit, and Jinglo was almost crushed to the ground. The evil ghost was finally frightened, and he screamed anxiously, "You can't kill me. I already control the life and death of all the children in this town. If you kill me, all the children in this town will die. Then go ahead and do it." Jinglo gritted his teeth and couldn't move at all. "As I expected, your blood vampire magic ability is to promote plant growth. If you want to control the peanuts in those children's bodies, it will take time to activate. By the time you die, those peanuts will probably lose their effect and will be digested and excreted quickly." Jinglo was really panicking now. "No, no, no. You can't kill me. You can't kill me." The unsheathed sword in Horitake's hand was pressed down a little more, and Jinglo was about to be crushed to the ground. In desperate situation, Jinglo, as a ghost, made a final outburst. He risked his left shoulder being crushed, and pushed upwards with all his strength, briefly freeing his right hand to thrust into the ground, and activated the blood vampire technique, violent tree kill. Boom boom, the ground shook, and 4 straight trees rushed out of the ground and rushed towards Horitake. Horitake turned his head and looked around. He raised the Weiguang in his hand, still keeping it unsheathed, and swept it around in the lightning and thunder breathing. First form. 6 lightning flashes. Even though Weiguang was not unsheathed, 6 flashes in an instant cut down the 4 surrounding trees, eliminating the final burst of attack from Jinglu. Looking up, I saw Jinglu taking advantage of this opportunity, covering his broken shoulder that could not heal itself, and madly fleeing from here. Unfortunately, his speed was far inferior to Horitake's. When Horitake finished dealing with the 4 trees and looked at him, he had only escaped less than 3 steps. Finally, Horitake drew his sword. The gorgeous purple blade flows out from the dark red scabbard, and the mighty blade is unsheathed. Swift wind sword technique, step forward and slash. The gale sword technique, enhanced by the heavenly thunder breathing, is even more powerful. Horitake took a step forward and caught up with Jinglu, who had escaped 3 steps. With the purple thunder rising into the sky, Horitake swung the blade of mighty light and slashed forward horizontally. How fast is this knife? Jinglu's head fell off first, then he saw his headless body, and finally he felt death. In the back room, the couple and many children clearly saw the scene of Jinglu being beheaded. The image of Horitake with lightning flashing on his body, sword in hand, and demon slaying in style, was also deeply imprinted in their minds, and they would probably never forget it for the rest of their lives. Jinglu's head rolled on the ground and his body began to dissipate. At the last moment, he saw the parents hugging their children tightly, and he could no longer hold back his tears. Why, did I meet those kinds of parents? Horitake holds the blade of might and light, and his spiritual vision is triggered. Oh? Can I see the ghost's revolving lantern again? Well, let me see what this ghost has been through. Jinglu's original name was Lu, his surname is unknown and his nickname was Alu. Originally, Alu was just a child from an ordinary family. It wasn't that his parents didn't love him. How could I put it? His parents had a bad temper and were quite ignorant. Alu has a health problem and cannot eat peanuts. Once he eats peanuts, he will vomit a lot, his whole body will swell up, and he will have difficulty breathing. But the embarrassing thing is that his family grows peanuts and his parents make a living from it, but their own child avoids the family's business like the plague. How can their parents tolerate this? My child will inherit my family business in the future. How can he be so afraid of peanuts? These were the exact words of Alu's father. Somehow, the fact that Alu was born in a peanut family but couldn't touch peanuts spread out, and many gossipy women in the village gossiped about it, with each word being more unpleasant than the last. When Alu's mother heard these words, she was furious. She went home and beat Alu up, forcing him to eat peanuts. As expected, Alu almost died after eating it. Later, Alu's parents had to take Alu to see a doctor because of this disease, but unfortunately many doctors could not help. By the time of the Meiji Restoration, Japan hired a number of foreign doctors. Lu also saw a foreign doctor, who diagnosed him as an allergy sufferer and told him he should never eat peanuts again. Alu's ignorant parents scoffed at this, insisting that foreign doctors were trying to cheat people out of their money and that the allergy issue was pure nonsense. They took Alu back and continued to force him to eat peanuts. Maybe he would get used to it after eating them for a while. During this period, Alu suffered from allergies many times. The more Alu's parents saw Alu get sick, the angrier they became, and the more they forced him to eat. Finally, one time, Alu was forced to eat too much peanuts and had a severe attack. Alu, who was suffering from both mental and physical pain, could not bear the burden and fled from home with his sick body. When he was about to die in the mountains, he met him and turned into a ghost. After becoming a ghost, Jinglo went crazy and ran back home to take revenge on his parents by eating them. Since then, Jinglo has become more and more paranoid. He believes that all parents in the world are shackles on their children and should be eliminated. To this day, even though Jinglo was killed by Horitake, he still does not repent. Why should I repent? My biological parents want to kill me. This was Jinglo's thought after his death. This is my original story and original ghost. The story is not just a story, the inspiration comes from the internet. Even in this developed era, there are still such foolish parents and unlucky children. Chapter 42. Horitake's spiritual vision was triggered, and he watched the revolving lantern of Jinglo's death. After reading it, Horitake felt bad again. The death of Jinglo, or Alu, is a complete tragedy. Neither his parents nor Alu himself are pitiful, just sad. Unlike the previous burrowing ghost, the burrowing ghost's father is a complete beast who is unworthy of being a father. The parents of Jinglo. It is hard to comment on them, so sad and lamentable. The island nation is poor and weak, and even now after the Meiji Restoration, most of Japan's citizens are ignorant. It's just ordinary ignorance, at most the family is hopeless. However, bigotry, violence, ignorance and stupidity will only harm others and yourself. After watching the revolving lantern of Saijing Road, Horitake had an immature and vague idea. He wants to try his best to change all this, to try his best to change these tragedies. Although it is said that Kibutsuji Muzan is the source of all tragedies, we cannot put all the blame on him. This chaotic era and society are the source of all tragedies. Horitake wants to challenge this era and see if he can change history. Even, completely avoid that war, so that Japan will no longer lean towards the ocean, but towards the sea. Of course, it is too early to say this now. Kibutsuji Muzan has not been encountered yet, and Kaigaku is a bit too ambitious. Horitake suppressed his heavy mood and put aside his unrealistic thoughts. Horitake sensed something and looked down at the mighty light in his hand. After sensing the vague emotions of Wei Guang, Horitake couldn't help but laugh and scold, "You're still not convinced? After all, he's the former lower moon too. Killing him won't be a disgrace to your status. Don't be like me, aiming too high. The glory has faded. No matter how powerful this guy is, he dare not confront his master." Horitake sheathed the blade of glorious light and hung it back around his waist. "Excuse me, are you Lord Yuji Unlazun coming to the mortal world?" A cautious voice came. Kaigaku turned around and saw that it was the victimized couple. Seeing the evil ghost being killed, they bravely came out to check, and the group of children behind them also followed them out. Horitake found it a little funny. "I just released a burst of lightning and was mistaken for the Japanese god of thunder. If I output at full power, will these people have to kneel down on the spot?" Shaking his head, Horitake replied, I'm not Goken Reizaun. I'm a member of the Demon Slayer Corps, someone who specializes in defeating evil spirits. Demon Slayer Corps. The man in the couple was a little incredulous. I thought the Demon Slayer Corps was just a legend, I didn't expect it really existed. Even evil demons that eat people exist, so why can't the Demon Slayer Corps exist? 2. Horitake looked at the group of children over there. The expressions of these children looking at him were very excited, but also a little sad. Although the nightmare that had been hanging over their heads had dissipated, their parents would never come back. Now, where do they go? Horitake is not a saint and cannot arrange everything for them. He can only say a few words for these children. You too, these children have lost their parents and have nowhere to go. They are very pitiful. I hope the people of Dongma Town can help these children. It would be even better if they can adopt them. The parents were about to nod when another old voice rang out, on behalf of Dongma Town, I agree to this matter. Everyone turned around and saw an old man with a cane. Mr. Mayor, the couple exclaimed in surprise. It turns out that the old man is the mayor of Dongma Town. The mayor came over with a cane. Seeing his appearance, Horitake couldn't help but say a few words of concern, Mr. Mayor, you are so old, why are you out so late? Aren't you afraid of danger? The old mayor tapped the ground with his cane, looking excited, our Dongma Town has been persecuted by that monster for half a year. I, an old man, really can't stand it anymore. I heard such a big noise tonight, with ghosts howling and thunder and lightning, I had to come out to take a look. Just let that monster eat me. I won't live much longer anyway. I didn't expect to meet this gentleman. I am so grateful to him for helping us get rid of this monster. We are all so grateful. Horitake sensed something and looked around. All around, countless lanterns gathered from all directions, and many people came. As they got closer, Horitake looked carefully and found that it was Nobutero's father who came with the townspeople. Look closely at these townspeople. Each of them holds a lantern, and some are holding various weapons. Although they look fearful, they are all mustering up their courage. After knowing that Si Jinglo had been killed by Horitake, the townspeople looked at Horitake with gratitude, and various voices of thanks were heard. Horitake was also somewhat shocked and asked Nobutero's father, Uncle, what is going on? Nobutero's father said sincerely, My lord, after you left, I felt more and more uncomfortable, and the more I thought about it, the more I couldn't bear it, so I mustered up my courage, contacted the neighbors and relatives nearby, and planned to fight that monster. There were only a dozen people at first, but more and more people gathered, and before they knew it, everyone had come, and everyone was determined to fight the monster to the bitter end. But we didn't expect that the monster had already been killed by you, sir. Hey, I'm a little embarrassed. This originally decadent man now looked a little silly. Horitake looked around. The aura of these townspeople was completely different from the lifeless feeling during the day. When this group of townspeople came just now, each of them was filled with a resolute aura. When these auras gathered together, they didn't just look like a group of townspeople, but more like an army. Horitake sighed inwardly. It is true that where there is oppression, there is resistance. Dongma Town has been plagued by the Silent Road for half a year. The people in the town seem cowardly, but they are actually very forbearing. Once they can no longer bear it and explode, the power of their explosion is bound to be astonishing. It was also because of the static electricity and thunder caused by the battle tonight, which was a bit abnormal, and coupled with the fuse of Nobutero's father, the residents of the entire Dongma Town were blown to pieces. Although it may seem like hindsight, it is commendable for its courage. Horitake couldn't help but imagine that if he wasn't there, the townspeople would be fed up and would explode as well. Yes, definitely. So, can the outburst of these townspeople deal with the dead Thorn Road? Thinking of Si Jinglo's fighting power and his tendency to run away when he saw the situation was not good, Horitake felt that even without him, the townspeople of Toma Town would be able to drive Si Jinglo away as long as they erupted. Of course, even if the expulsion is successful, the townspeople will certainly suffer heavy casualties. After being driven away, Si Jinglo might retaliate, but Dongma Town will definitely make a big deal out of this matter, and the government will certainly not sit idly by. The government may even secretly contact the Demon Slayer Corps to deal with it. Thinking of this, Horitake couldn't help but sigh again. It is true that where there is oppression, there is resistance. Don't underestimate the power of ordinary people. Once ordinary people gather and explode, it will be terrible. At this moment, the mayor became more and more excited. He suddenly threw away his crutches and trembled as he was about to kneel down in front of Horitake. Your Excellency is able to help our Dongma town to eliminate the monsters. I am very grateful. On behalf of Dongma town, I thank you for your kindness. Oh my god! What are you doing, old man? Get up! Chapter 43. Horitake held the mayor's arm and refused to let him kneel down. Old man, you are so old now. I appreciate your gratitude, but please don't express your gratitude in this way. If you kneel to me, I will shorten my life, okay? Even though he had traveled through time more than 10 years ago, Horitake still couldn't get used to these gifts from Japan. He couldn't stand being made to kneel at every turn. After all, Horitake's soul still comes from that peaceful and equal society, and he cannot accept this in his bones. How strong is Horitake? The mayor couldn't kneel down at all because of Horitake's obstruction. Who knew that at this time, Nobutero's father also came to cause trouble? Nobutero's father put down his lantern and knelt down to thank Horitake. I am so grateful to you for saving my son. His kneeling seemed to trigger a chain reaction, and many townspeople around him also knelt down to express their gratitude to Horitake. Most of those who knelt down to express their gratitude were parents with children. Horitake was panicked, he was really panicked. He has never encountered such a situation in his previous life or this life combined. Horitake wanted to stop them, but if he let go, the old mayor would also kneel down. What should I do? There was really no other way. Horitake supported the old mayor who was about to kneel down to express his gratitude, and could only reluctantly accept the kneeling thanks from others. All right, everyone, please get up. I accept your gratitude, but please don't do this again. This is not the Warring States period. The Meiji era is over. Everyone stood up, and the old mayor no longer insisted on kneeling to express his gratitude, so Horitake let go of his hand. Wiping the cold sweat from his head, Horitake couldn't help but complain, I wasn't this nervous even when facing evil spirits. You guys are much more powerful than evil spirits. As he spoke, Horitake saw the group of homeless children and said seriously, by the way, I hope you can lend a helping hand to these children and adopt and take care of them as much as possible. They are homeless now, which is so pitiful. In a sense, the townspeople should bear some responsibility for the fact that these children became orphans. At the beginning, when the Saijing Road would eat a couple at any time, the townspeople chose to protect themselves out of fear. The so-called self-protection means standing by and watching. So now when the townspeople see these children, they feel very guilty. When Horitake mentioned this, everyone responded, calling out to those children, trying their best to show their kindness, and wanted to adopt them. Because of the long-term psychological torture, these children are now a little paranoid. Like frightened rabbits, they are afraid and frightened in the face of the enthusiasm and kindness of so many people. At the critical moment, it was the old mayor who stepped forward to take charge of the situation. He knocked the ground with his cane and shouted, "Stop it, stop it! You are scaring the children! Stop it! Listen to me! These children must be adopted, but they cannot be adopted randomly. Although these children have lost their parents, at least they still have relatives, right? I think it would be best to let the children be adopted by their relatives. For children, it is always better to have someone they know than a stranger. After all, they are blood relatives. All the relatives, come out and claim the children you know. You didn't say anything when the parents of these children were eaten, but now you should take responsibility." The old mayor was still strong and quickly found the best solution. He also gave the townspeople a light poke, which made them feel a little embarrassed. Soon, the children's relatives came out from the crowd. They found their nephews or nieces with some shame and wanted to take them away. Don't underestimate this sense of shame. Just this sense of shame can ensure the quality of life of these children after being adopted. When the children saw that the people who adopted them were people they knew, and were relatives such as uncles, elder uncles, or cousins, their vigilance was greatly reduced, and they all followed the adults obediently. During the process of recognition and adoption, Horitake whispered to the mayor, "It seems that the follow-up work can be left to you." The mayor noticed Horitake's intention to leave and hurriedly stopped him. "Are you leaving, sir?" "Yeah, the ghost has been eliminated, and it's time for me to leave." "How can this be possible? We in Dongma town have not yet thanked you properly. Please rest in the town for a few days. Dongma town will." Horitake stopped the mayor from speaking, and said sincerely, "I appreciate your kindness, but I can't do this. Our Demon Slayer Corps is an organization hidden in the dark, an organization not recognized by the government. We have been killing demons in secret and are rarely known to the public. Being thanked by the whole town today is already very high profile for me, and I can't expand the influence any further. What's more, I have other tasks to complete and other ghosts to kill. Dongma Town is not the only place that is threatened by ghosts. I must kill as many ghosts as possible and protect as many people as possible. I cannot stay in one place for too long. Since Horitake had said so, the mayor couldn't force him to stay, so he could only nod. In that case, well, I can only wish you good luck in martial arts. One more thing. If Toma Town is invaded by demons again, you can go to nearby towns and look for families with wisteria flowers planted or printed on them. Ask them for help and you may be able to contact our Demon Slayer Corps. If Dongma Town wants to avoid being disturbed by ghosts, it can plant wisteria flowers around and in the town. Ghosts hate wisteria flowers, so they won't dare to approach. Of course, the conditions for growing wisteria are quite special, and whether it can survive in Dongma Town depends entirely on fate. Listening to Horitake's instructions, the mayor nodded continuously, becoming more and more moved. I've made a note of this. If you pass by Dongma Town in the future, please let us show our hospitality. There will be a chance. After saying this, Horitake calmly left the crowd, with an arc of electricity flashing on his body, and he left here quietly, leaving Dongma Town. Soon, more than a dozen orphaned children were adopted. Although many tragedies occurred, every child was well placed and the final outcome was a happy one. The townspeople all looked for Horitake, but were surprised to find that he was gone. They didn't know when he left. There was a commotion and noise, and everyone was looking around. It was not until the old mayor hit the ground hard with his walking stick that everyone quieted down. No need to look for him. That gentleman has already left. What? Gone? Everyone was talking about it, and Shintaro's father was a little unhappy. Mr. Mayor, how can we let this gentleman go like this? Looking at Nobutero's father, the mayor said unhappily, do you think that gentleman is idle and doing nothing all day long like you? I still need to kill other evil spirits. I have a lot of responsibilities to shoulder. That gentleman is a truly noble man. If we are destined to meet again, we will meet again. Okay, everyone, go away and go home. Shintaro's father. You stay with me. Help me deal with the remaining chores. The townspeople gradually dispersed. At this time, Horitake had already run far away from Dongma Town. After running for a distance along the road, Horitake stopped and looked back in the direction of Dongma Town. He had a premonition that he might have interactions with Dongma Town in the future. I just hope that next time I come to Dongma Town, I won't be here to kill ghosts. Horitake's premonition was right. The next time he came to Toma Town, he would not come to kill ghosts, but he would not come for any good reasons either. But that was a long time later. Chapter 44. In the dark forest, Horitake walked slowly. As he walked, he stopped in front of a big tree, looked at the tree, and smiled with a hint of success. Horitake used the hilt of his sword to strike the trunk of the tree, rhythmically muttering, "Little bunny, open the door, open it quickly, mommy, daddy wants to come in." Just after knocking, the tree trunk in front of Horitake suddenly cracked and a female ghost with a green face, fangs and a long tongue rushed out of the trunk, rushing towards Horitake with her fangs and claws. Horitake had a blank expression on his face. He used his heavenly thunder breathing and swung his scabbarded sword. The sword, which had not yet been unsheathed, carried rolling lightning and thunder, and swung it directly and fiercely at the female ghost's face. With a dull thud and a scream, the female ghost was swung to the left side of Horitake, hit a small tree and fell to the ground. Because of the restraining and destructive effect of the heavenly thunder on Horitake's body on ghosts, the female ghost was seriously injured by the scabbard. She could not recover from her injuries and could only sit paralyzed on the ground. Horitake walked towards the female ghost step by step. As the footsteps got closer, the female ghost became more desperate and crazy. She raised her head and stared at Horitake with her bleeding eyes, saying viciously, "Why? Why won't you let me go?" Horitake had no expression on his face and spoke indifferently, "Look at what you said. Why didn't you let go of those people you ate? I am a ghost. Ghosts eat people. It's only natural," the female ghost roared. "Then it is only natural for us in the Demon Slayer Corps to kill demons." Horitake's tone was icy, and it was unclear whether it was a joke or a mockery. He added, if you have the guts, then don't eat humans. The female ghost was so angry that she laughed. How could there be a ghost that doesn't eat people? You know what, there really are ghosts that don't eat humans. I know one, and she's a female ghost. Horitake complained in his mind, but the sword in his hand remained unsheathed, and with a flash of lightning, he stabbed the female ghost. There is no doubt that the female ghost was beheaded by Horitake with one sword and died. Looking at the gradually disappearing ghost corpse, Horitake was thinking in his mind. It has been 2 or 3 months since I joined the Demon Slayer Corps. How many demons have I killed? I can't count them all, but there are at least 30 or 40 of them. Because Horitake has been killing demons like crazy recently, the Demon Slayer Corps has given him the nickname of a workaholic. By the way, Horitake has long been a top-level A-class swordsman in the Demon Slayer Corps, and he is only one step away from becoming a pillar. As long as he continues to kill demons, or kills a lower rank of 12 Kizuki, Horitake will be promoted to a pillar of the Demon Slayer Corps. This is why Horitake has been killing demons like crazy recently. As Horitake was thinking this, the mighty light in his hand vaguely conveyed emotions to Horitake. What? You're going to unsheath and kill a ghost? I'm sorry, but I've been killing little devils lately, so there's no need for you to unsheath your sword. When you killed Jing Lu before, you thought that ghosts like that were not worth killing, and these little ghosts are even less worthy of being killed. What? You've been stuck in the sheath for 2 or 3 months. You want to get some fresh air? Are you kidding? I pull you out every now and then to clean and maintain you. How can you not breathe? Haha, you want to see blood? Can't help it. Not being picky anymore? Not throwing a tantrum anymore? It's too late. Keep it in the sheath. When I feel better, I'll take you out to drink blood. It's no use begging me. Who made you angry with me before? I can cure your temper. You little brat. Can't I cure you? Although Wei Guang is a very powerful and spiritual sword, Horitake does not indulge it at all. It must be taught a lesson. In the beginning, when Wei Guang had just been acquired and named, he dared to provoke the thunder in the sky, causing Horitake to almost die with it. This temper should be controlled. With the Wei Guang tied around his waist, Horitake looked at where he was, found the right direction, and walked forward. This place is quite close to Xiao Mountain, so I can stop by to visit my future brother-in-law and future wife. I don't know how they are doing now. Mumbling to himself and humming a little tune, Horitake walked towards Kujiri Mountain. In the Gorge Mist Mountain, the sun rises and morning arrives. As the saying goes, a day's plan begins in the morning. Morning is the best time and the most suitable time for training. Tanjiro's biological clock had woken him up long ago. He hurriedly prepared a table for breakfast. After eating breakfast with Urokotake, he didn't need to be reminded. He took his knife, ran out of the house and went to the mountain to train. Tanjiro's training program this morning is, running down the mountain from the top of Kujiri Mountain, passing the traps set by Urokodake last night, and reaching the Urokodake hut as quickly as possible. In this way, Tanjiro went up the mountain, found a direction, held a knife for self-defense in his hand, and ran down the mountain without hesitation to face the brutal training. Yes, it is a very cruel training, which can be seen from the traps set by Urokodake. Tanjiro was already very familiar with the traps ahead. Relying on his extraordinary sense of smell, Tanjiro dodged many traps by dodging left and right, jumping up and down. Tanjiro barely spent any time on the first half of the journey. Tanjiro was not at all happy with this small achievement. He knew that the traps would become more difficult as he went on. From time to time, there would be new traps designed by Master Urokodake that would be hard to guard against. Tanjiro accidentally triggered a trap due to a slight distraction in his brain. When Tanjiro tripped over a rope and fell to the ground, he knew, it was bad. Without saying a word, Tanjiro somersaulted away from the spot. As expected, many sharpened bamboos shot towards him from all directions, and Tanjiro dodged them quickly by jumping and tumbling. The bamboos were shot very densely. Tanjiro could dodge them at the beginning, but he couldn't dodge the last few bamboos. The samurai sword in his hand came in handy at this time. Fortunately, Tanjiro had already learned swordsmanship. Facing several flying bamboos, he decisively chopped and blocked them, and defeated the incoming bamboos. No more bamboos were shot at him. Tanjiro panted, holding the knife, and looked around vigilantly. It was quiet all around, nothing unusual. It seems that the trap has ended here, Tanjiro decisively continues to run down. Concentrating on training, Tanjiro neither noticed nor smelled Horitake's presence. At this time, Horitake stood on a big tree, watching Tanjiro running down, pinching his chin. I didn't expect that Master Urokodaka's training style would be like this. It's completely different from my master's training style. Oh? What's that Kawashima guy's training style? At some point, Urokodaka stood on a branch next to Horitake and asked Horitake this. After thinking for a while, Horitake replied, pure physical training and endurance training. Occasionally there are actual combat training, but not often. There has never been flexible trap escape training like this. That's due to the different breathing methods. What do you mean? Thunder breathing requires sudden explosive power and a strong physique, so Sangdao's training is mainly physical training. If the body is not well trained enough, it will not be able to support the power of thunder breathing. My water breathing requires adaptability and continuity, so I need these traps to train Tanjiro's adaptability and endurance. Looking at Tanjiro's back from a distance, Horitake discovered that Tanjiro had triggered another trap and was trying to dodge it in a panic. Master Urokodaka, isn't this a bit too much? Aren't you worried that Tanjiro will die in your trap? Urokodaka said expressionlessly. Where does the expression on the mask come from? I have calculated carefully that as long as Tanjiro fights hard enough, these traps will not kill him. On the contrary, they can further squeeze out Tanjiro's potential. There is an interval of about 3 seconds. Tanjiro's perseverance is terrifying. I want to thank you for letting me accept such a disciple. If I had missed Tanjiro, I would have regretted it. Chapter 45. Urokodaka was talking about the time when he refused to accept Tanjiro as his apprentice, and Horitake had no choice but to fight with Urokodaka. Thinking of that incident, Horitake smiled slightly. Just don't blame me for being rude in the first place, Master Urokodaka. Looking at Horitake, Urokodaka thought about what happened back then. At the beginning, in order to get him to accept Tanjiro as his apprentice, Horitake agreed that the outcome would be decided with one move. At that time, Urokodaka underestimated Horitake and did not use his full strength. As a result, he was caught off guard by Horitake's 108 Thunderbolt flashes and was slightly inferior. At that time, Urokodaka could still see Horitake's strength, but now, Urokodaka can't tell the depth of Horitake at all. In just half a year, has it grown to this point? Urokodaka couldn't help but ask Horitake, Horigaku boy, your current strength. Oh, me? I only need one more 12 Kizuki lower rank to become a pillar. But it's not that easy to encounter 12 Kizuki lower string. I have encountered the lower moon 2 before, but unfortunately he was the lower moon 2 of my predecessor. His strength was average and he was not worth mentioning at all. There is no other way. I can only try my best to kill ordinary ghosts and gather 50 of them first. Horitake's words hinted at a strong confidence, and this confidence and strong demeanor made Urokodaka secretly shocked. Really? It has grown to this extent. Urokodaka no longer dwelled on this matter and watched from afar as Tanjiro was about to disappear from his sight. He pulled out a few throwing knives from his back and was about to chase after him. Horitake was surprised when he saw this. No. Master Urokodaka, your flying knife is also. It is also one of Tanjiro's tests. When Tanjiro is forced to the extreme by the trap later, I will shoot the flying knife and force Tanjiro again. Isn't this a bit too much? No, I know exactly where Tanjiro's limit is. Only by pushing Tanjiro to the extreme can he unleash greater potential. This kid fought really hard for his sister. The road ahead for them is bound to be full of ups and downs. If they want to keep going, they must have sufficient strength. After saying that, Urokodaka held a flying knife in one hand and quietly tracked Tanjiro. Horitake looked at Urokodaka's departing back and a drop of cold sweat broke out on his head. He had a feeling that Tanjiro would be tortured terribly today. After jumping down from the tree and opening his spiritual vision, Horitake asked, have you been trained like this by Master Urokodaka before? The somewhat illusory figures of Sabato and Makomo appeared next to Horitake. Sabato scratched his head, as if he couldn't bear to look back, and replied, indeed, we have all gone through this kind of training from Master Urokodaka. Makomo pouted and said indignantly, yes. Every trap training is very dangerous, and I almost died. Teacher Urokodaka is really something. Sabato said helplessly to Makomo, but it is precisely because of such harsh training that Tanjiro's strength will become stronger and stronger. That's right. Facing Sabato and Makomo, Horitake bowed slightly, I haven't thanked you yet. Thank you for helping me take care of Tanjiro. No, it's us who are thanking you. Sabato and Makomo bowed to Horitake and said, thank you for killing Tianai and helping us and Master Urokodaka's children fulfill their wishes. Oh, you are talking about the ghost in Tengzishan. I didn't let him go when I saw him. I killed him. It's just a piece of cake. Don't worry about it. By the way, Tanjiro is fine. How is Nezuko now? When it comes to this issue, Sabato and Makomo are a little hesitant. Nezuko shouldn't be a problem, right Sabato? Well, actually, I don't know why, but ever since arriving at Kujiri Mountain, Nezuko has been in a deep sleep and can't wake up no matter what. Master Urokotake also consulted a doctor, but the doctor couldn't find anything. But there is nothing wrong with Nezuko's body. Makomo added a few more words, although he didn't eat anyone or go crazy, Nezuko is a ghost after all. We don't know why he has been sleeping all this time. Horitake nodded as he listened, I see. Fortunately, Horigaku had read the original work and knew what was going on. Nezuko needs to sleep for 2 years, and will not wake up until Tanjiro passes the final selection. For the past 2 years, Nezuko has been transforming her body through slumber, allowing herself to recover through sleep instead of cannibalism. This is a good thing and nothing to worry about. After a brief chat with Sabato and Makomo, Horitake followed in Urokodaka's footsteps and also went down the mountain. He wanted to watch how Urokodaka trained Tanjiro, and he definitely had no intention of gloating. At this moment, Tanjiro is almost reaching the finish line despite all kinds of traps. When Horitake arrived, Tanjiro was breaking through the last trap. This made Horitake sigh that when Urokodaka tested Tanjiro, it took Tanjiro a long time to get through the most basic traps, but now Tanjiro has made great progress. But, although it's progress, it's also really embarrassing. Tanjiro, now dirty and torn, struggled to break through the last section of the trap. Of course, there were occasional interferences from Urantake's flying knives. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 flying knives shot towards Tanjiro's forehead. Tanjiro's hair stood on end when he heard the sound of the flying knife breaking through the air. He dodged sideways and quickly swung the samurai sword in his hand to block and deflect it. However, just as Tanjiro dodged, he stepped on a rope and triggered another trap. Boom! A large wooden stake fell from the sky and hit Tanjiro. Tanjiro screamed and dodged quickly, narrowly avoiding the wooden stake. Just when he was about to breathe a sigh of relief, there were 3 bang sounds of bows, and 3 feather arrows came from nowhere and shot towards Tanjiro at high speed. Chain traps! Tanjiro bent down in panic. 3 arrows hit the wooden stake. However, the chain of traps was not over yet, and several bamboos came from nowhere and swept towards Tanjiro. Tanjiro rolled and jumped on the ground, trying his best to dodge the first 4 bamboos. Unfortunately, he failed to dodge the last bamboo, which hit Tanjiro's butt hard. Then, Tanjiro screamed and was swept away by the bamboo. On the side, Horitake on a tree was watching this scene. He wanted to laugh, but he felt that laughing was too unkind, so he could only hold back his laughter, and it was very difficult to hold it back. Tanjiro screamed as he was swept away. When he fell, he did not fall to the ground, but into a big pit about 8 or 9 meters wide and 3 or 4 meters deep. After crashing into the pit, Tanjiro saw stars and slowly got up. He looked around in a daze, puzzled. Where is this? Have I fallen into another trap? It seems to be a deep pit. A really big pit. What's that black thing in front? It looks like... Nanny. It's a bear. Tanjiro was startled and retreated quickly, his back pressed tightly against the soil behind him, looking left and right to check the situation. It was a deep pit for sure. The pit wall was 90 degrees vertical and about 3 or 4 meters high. It was impossible to climb up. The question is, how could there be a bear in this pit? Could it be that the bear fell in accidentally? On the pit, Urokodaka's words answered Tanjiro's doubts. Tanjiro. I caught this bear in advance and threw it down there, and it has been hungry for at least 5 days. Your last trap training this morning is to defeat this bear. Whether we eat the bear for lunch today, or the bear eats you today, it all depends on your ability. Chapter 46. Inside the deep pit, the bear was startled and crawled out of its curled up state. It immediately saw Tanjiro over there and its eyes instantly turned red. There is food. The bear had been starving in the pit for many days and was almost starving. Now it dared to eat anything alive, no matter what it was, including the man with the sword in front of it. Tanjiro raised his samurai sword, looking at the bear that was much taller than him, feeling the bear's huge body and ferocious momentum, and his heart collapsed, and he shouted to the top, "Master Urokodake! Are you kidding me? This is a bear!" Urokodake stood at the edge of the pit and shouted down, "No kidding! Tanjiro, you will have to face ghosts in the future. Evil ghosts are much scarier than bears. If you can't even deal with bears, don't deal with ghosts." That's correct. The bear was ready to charge, its eyes were red, its fangs were wide open, and its saliva was dripping onto the ground. What can Tanjiro do? He can only bite the bullet and do it. Howl! The hungry bear let out a roar, raised its claws and pounced on Tanjiro. After such a long period of training, Tanjiro's flexibility and adaptability have greatly increased. He saw the bear's attack pattern and quickly lowered his head and dodged sideways. While dodging, he also slashed the bear's belly. After Tanjiro dodged, he quickly retreated, still leaning against the wall of the pit, holding his knife in confrontation. The bear missed his pounce and was stabbed in the stomach. However, because he had a lot of fat, the knife did not cause him much damage. However, the pain still aroused the bear's ferocity, and it turned around and continued to attack Tanjiro. Tanjiro focused on the bear's movements, dodged its attacks with all his might, and fought with the bear in the deep pit. Above the pit, Urokodake was observing the situation. Is he really not worried about Tanjiro being hurt by the bear? Not that worrying actually. Urokodake is well aware of Tanjiro's current strength. As long as he is not careless, Tanjiro will be able to defeat the bear and nothing will happen. If there really is an accident, Urokodake can save Tanjiro in time. Are you kidding? There are 2 pillar-level figures here, and they can't rescue the person in time when the bear is about to bite? At the bottom of the pit, Tanjiro fought the bear for several rounds. Gradually, Tanjiro also discovered some problems. If he were outside the pit and encountered a bear, it would be easier to kill it. Now at the bottom of the pit, in this small space, fighting the bear has become more difficult. You must concentrate and dodge every attack of the bear, while causing as much damage to the bear as possible. The bear was too big and too powerful. If the bear attacked Tanjiro once, Tanjiro would lose most of his fighting power. Therefore, you must not be attacked by a bear. With this idea and determination, Tanjiro became more serious and tried his best. After several rounds, the bear didn't touch Tanjiro at all, while Tanjiro slashed the bear with many sword strikes. At this time, the bear had many wounds on its body and its fur was bloody, and it looked bad. But for Xiong, the worst thing was not the wounds on his body, but the many wounds that Tanjiro had just cut on his legs. If its legs are disabled, it will be at the mercy of others. The hungry bear also realized this and attacked more cautiously, with the stalemate in each round lasting longer and longer. This is also a test for Tanjiro, a competition of endurance and physical strength with the bear. Roar! With a roar, the bear pounced again. In an instant, Tanjiro discovered that perhaps because of the leg injury, the bear's attack had a flaw. The time is now. Tanjiro made a prompt decision and took decisive action. While dodging and passing by the bear, Tanjiro swung his samurai sword and struck the bear's neck hard. With this sword, Tanjiro cut half of the bear's neck. A large amount of blood gushed out from the neck. Ah! The bear felt his own injuries and his own failure, and he let out a wail, before finally falling powerlessly into the corner of the pit, lying motionless with his eyes closed. Tanjiro stood on the other side of the deep pit, holding a knife, breathing heavily, still not daring to let his guard down, because he knew that a trapped beast will fight to the bitter end. After being alert for several minutes and confirming that the bear was dead, Tanjiro finally relaxed. He sat down at the bottom of the pit, looked up at the sky, and gasped for breath. Win! Finally win! Winning is not easy. Urokodake on the pit nodded and said to Tanjiro, "Yeah, good, Tanjiro, crawl out on your own." Ah! Tanjiro looked at the vertical pit wall and exclaimed, "How do I climb up here?" "Find a way yourself," Urokodake said sternly. Tanjiro was smart and quickly figured out a solution. He used a samurai sword to chisel a hole in the wall of the pit. He used his hands and feet and inserted the knife into the wall of the pit at the same time. After some effort, he climbed out of the deep pit. At this point, Tanjiro's strength was almost exhausted, and he walked towards where Urokodake was standing with heavy steps. Unexpectedly, after taking a few steps, Tanjiro's foot touched a rope and triggered the trap again. Now he was dumbfounded. Although Tanjiro reacted, he was already exhausted and couldn't dodge. Just like that, the mechanism was triggered, and a rope hidden on the ground was caught around Tanjiro's feet. Then the rope was pulled up suddenly, and Tanjiro was hung upside down on the tree, swaying as he screamed. Walking up to Tanjiro, who was hanging upside down, Urokodaka said in a serious voice, "Just now I told you that it was the last trap. Do you really think it was the last trap? You've fallen into a trap. There are traps waiting for you after you come up. Tanjiro, this is another lesson I teach you, never trust your enemies. Always be vigilant." Tanjiro looked at the upside-down world and Urokodaki in front of him and nodded with a look of emotion. Next to him, Horitake couldn't help laughing at the embarrassed Tanjiro, but tried hard to stop laughing. Ha ha ha, cough, cough, cough. Master Urokodaki is right, Tanjiro, you must keep it in mind. If Horitake hadn't spoken up, Tanjiro wouldn't have noticed Horitake until now. He turned around and saw that the person standing over there looked very familiar. Damn, because it was a reverse vision, his cognition was a little confused for a moment and he couldn't recognize it. Horitake greeted Tanjiro with a smile. "Hey, Tanjiro, long time no see." After hearing the voice and carefully identifying it, Tanjiro recognized Horitake and was overjoyed. "Horitake-senpai. It's you." "Yes, it's me." Tanjiro quickly sat up, untied the rope buckle on his feet, stood on the ground again, ran to Horitake, and asked happily, "Why did Horitake-senpai come to Kujiri Mountain?" "I was killing ghosts nearby and just happened to come over to check on you and Nezuko." Tanjiro wanted to say something happily, but when he thought of Nezuko's abnormality, his expression inevitably became depressed. "I'm glad that you can come to see me and Nezuko, but Nezuko is now." Patting Tanjiro's shoulder, Horitake smiled and said, "I heard that Nezuko has been sleeping. It's okay. Don't worry. Maybe I can find the reason why she is sleeping. Take me to see Nezuko." Tanjiro was very surprised and had hope, so he immediately asked Horitake to come over. "Great, please, Horitake-senpai, over here." Tanjiro led Horitake to Urokodaka's cabin over there. Urokodaka was somewhat puzzled. "I don't think I told him about Nezuko? How did he know?" Chapter 47. Urokodaka couldn't figure out this problem, but soon he stopped worrying about it and followed the two of them towards the cabin. Tanjiro led Horitake to Urokodaka's hut and into the room where Nezuko was. In order to let Horitake see more clearly, Tanjiro turned on the lights in the room. Nezuko is still as beautiful and cute as before. She closes her eyes, wears a bamboo tube in her mouth, and sleeps quietly in the quilt. Horitake sat next to Nezuko, looking at her fair face and smooth hair. It could be seen that even though Nezuko had been sleeping, Tanjiro took good care of Nezuko. The lights were turned on and Urokodaka came into the room. Tanjiro sat next to Horitake and leaned over to ask, "Horigaku-senpai, how is Nezuko?" "Don't worry, Tanjiro, let me take a closer look." As he spoke, Horitake turned on his psychic vision, ready to observe Nezuko's physical condition. Unexpectedly, after turning on his psychic vision, the first thing Horitake saw was not Nezuko's physical condition, but Tanjiro's family of 8. Where did the family of 8 come from? Aren't the two siblings the only ones left in Tanjiro's family? Don't forget. Horitake's clairvoyance can see souls. At this time, Horitake saw that besides himself and Tanjiro, there were also Nezuko's father, mother, 3 younger brothers, and a younger sister sitting around him. That's right, their state at this moment is all soul state. It turns out that after the Komato family passed away, they did not reincarnate, but continued to guard Tanjiro and Nezuko. This is why, in the original work, whenever the Komato's siblings are in danger, their family members always appear in their consciousness to help them. Because their family never left and stayed with the Komato brothers and sisters the whole time. Now, the whole family, big and small, sat around Nezuko. They looked anxious and were obviously worried about Nezuko's condition. What was a bit awkward was that the Komato family sat in a circle around Nezuko, and Horitake was the only outsider in the circle. The Komato family, including Tanjiro, all stare at Horitake, hoping that Horitake will have an explanation for Nezuko's sleeping state and that he can cure Nezuko. My goodness, except Nezuko, the 7 members of the Komato family were staring at him in unison. The expectation in their eyes was self-evident. Horitake felt really pressured facing this situation. If Horigaku's relationship to Nezuko was merely that of a senior to a junior, a doctor to a patient, then that would be fine. But Horitake considers Nezuko as his future wife. Then this meeting with the Komato family was very abrupt. What is this? Meeting my father-in-law, mother-in-law, 3 brothers-in-law and 1 sister-in-law in advance? The pressure was too great and Horitake felt uncomfortable all over. Horigaku couldn't play dumb at this time, because his panicked look exposed him. Tanjiro's younger brother and sister were fine, but Tanjiro's parents immediately realized that Horigaku could actually see them. Tanjiro's mother, Komato Aoi, was a little surprised and covered her mouth with her hands. Tanjiro's father, Komato Tanjiro, was not only surprised but also a little critical. The man looked at Horitake, and seemed to see that Horitake had bad intentions towards his little girl, so he looked at Horitake with a sullen face and a wary look. Horitake has never encountered such a situation in his previous life or this life. Moreover, Komato Tanjiro is a fierce man who has mastered the transparent world. If he were still alive, Horitake might not be able to defeat him. The powerful father-in-law is too powerful to be provoked. I accidentally met my future father-in-law, and he is a little dissatisfied with me. What should I do? Waiting online, it's urgent. Fortunately, Tanjiro's mother, Komato Aoi, came to Horitake's rescue. This gentlewoman quietly pulled Komato Tanjiro and whispered, "Anata." Komato Tanjiro's vigilance and scrutiny were finally restrained a lot. Of course, they are in the state of souls now, so even if Tanjiro's mother speaks, Tanjiro cannot hear it. Horitake sat beside Nezuko, his body stiff and sweaty, helpless. He could only put his palms together and bowed in a circle around Nezuko. Tanjiro was very confused about this. What was the senior praying for? Senior, you are. Of course Horigaku couldn't tell Tanjiro the truth. If he knew about this, he would be distracted in the future, so Horigaku could only make up nonsense. I am praying, hoping that all the gods and Buddhas can bless me and help me find out what happened to Nezuko. Tanjiro is confused. Is that so? It turns out that you still believe in God, Horitake-senpai. As for things like God, if you believe in it, it exists, and if you don't believe in it, it doesn't exist. After perfunctorily answering Tanjiro with an ambiguous remark, Horitake began to get down to business. He lowered his head and used his psychic vision to check on Nezuko's condition. You know what, I can indeed see some clues after taking a look. As Horitake knew, Nezuko was indeed transforming her body through intoxication, so that she no longer restored her strength by eating people, but instead restored her strength by sleeping. In addition, Horitake saw something even more interesting. Watching carefully, trying hard to use spiritual vision. There was a faint black energy flowing inside Nezuko's body. This black energy seemed familiar, and Horitake seemed to have seen it somewhere before. That's right. It's Kaguya. Horigaku reacted and realized that this black energy was so similar to the black energy between the eyebrows of Yabayashiki Kaguya, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps. Could it be that this is also a curse of Kibutsuji Muzan? What is this curse? Why does Nezuko have this curse? Or do all ghosts have this curse? Horitake was in a state of confusion for a moment because he had discovered something so incredible. He raised his head, rubbed his eyebrows, put away his spiritual vision, relaxed his eyes, and calmed himself down. However, Tanjiro was shocked by Horitake's tired posture, just like when you go to the hospital to see a doctor, and the doctor rubs his brows and sighs after looking at your X-ray. Tanjiro was horrified. Horitake-senpai. What happened to Nezuko? Could it be? No. It's not what you think. On the contrary, Nezuko is in good condition. I did this because I found other things about Nezuko. These things are very important and need to be carefully observed and speculated. Is that so? Horitake-senpai, please don't comfort me. It's okay to just tell me if there's anything. I can handle it. Horitake was helpless and said to Tanjiro in a bad mood, what are you thinking? Nezuko is fine. Just be quiet, I need to continue checking. Horitake opened his spiritual vision again and stared at what was happening inside Nezuko's body. Confirmation is undoubtedly a curse. The most important thing now is to figure out what this curse is. Horitake began to speculate. It should be a curse that all ghosts have, not just Nezuko. What is the curse that all ghosts have? Must eat humans for food? And afraid of sunlight? No, This characteristic is more like a characteristic at the genetic biological level, which can be explained by science and cannot be considered a curse. Suddenly, Horitake reacted. It seems Kibutsuji Muzan can control every ghost. As long as the distance is enough, Muzan can know the inner thoughts of any ghost. Moreover, after the ghost dies, the images that the ghost saw during its lifetime can also be transmitted to Muzan's spirit and known by Muzan. This kind of thing cannot be explained by science. Could it be that this black energy, this curse, is the method Kibutsuji Muzan uses to control ghosts? Chapter 48. Horitake felt that his guess was very likely. This black curse was the method used by Kibutsuji Muzan to control ghosts. This discovery is so useful. So important. That's right. With my current strength, can I help Nezuko get rid of this curse? If Nezuko no longer has to eat humans in the future, and even gradually overcomes the sunlight, and Kibutsuji Muzan sees this through the curse in Nezuko's body, Nezuko will be in danger. Although this kind of thing did not happen in the original work, but now we have the Kocho effect, so we can't be unprepared for this kind of thing. Horitake began to observe the curse in Nezuko's body with all his might, and at the same time, he speculated in his mind whether his lightning could dispel the curse. After some observation, Horitake concluded, Nezuko's curse is harder to dispel than Yubashiki Kaguya's curse. Fortunately, I am stronger now, and my thunder breathing has been upgraded to heavenly thunder breathing. I just need to be careful and cautious, and slowly wear it out many times, and I can wear away the curse in Nezuko's body. Congratulations, congratulations! But the problem is that now Nezuko is sleeping and transforming her body. In this state, can Horitake attack? Can he stimulate Nezuko's body with lightning? What if, by some chance, Horitake's lightning causes Nezuko's self-transformation to result in an uncontrollable disaster? Horitake can't take this risk. After thinking about it carefully, Horitake decided that he should wait for a year and a half until Nezuko woke up and then help Nezuko get rid of the curse. Well, that's the most cautious approach. Hey? What's going on? Why is there a ray of blue light inside Nezuko? What on earth is this blue light? Horitake widened his eyes and continued to use his spiritual vision, trying hard to observe and investigate. Indeed, there was a blue-green light inside Nezuko's body, wandering around her. This ray of blue light was bright, upright, majestic, and peaceful, completely opposite to the nature of the black curse. How is this possible? Horitake couldn't believe it. Without mentioning what this blue light is, it is wrong to say that the nature of the blue light and the black air curse are completely opposite. The two are now coexisting in Nezuko's body. They have completely opposite natures and will definitely confront each other. Once they confront each other, how can Nezuko still sleep so peacefully? Oh! That's not right. That's not right. Horitake noticed something unusual. He opened his eyes wide and tried hard to use his spiritual vision to the fullest. The relationship between the blue light and the black curse is not just as simple as having opposite properties. Their relationship is more like a restraining relationship. The blue light restrains the black curse. Horitake used his psychic vision to its fullest, and finally saw vaguely that the blue-green light in Nezuko's body was protecting Nezuko's body, and every time the blue-green light traveled through Nezuko's body, it would dissipate a little bit of the black energy curse. Although the amount of time wasted each time is small, it is definitely wasting time. Horitake was a little dumbfounded. Just now, Horitake was so arrogant that he thought he was the only one who could remove Nezuko's curse, but he was slapped in the face the next second. There was no need for Horitake at all, Nezuko could slowly remove the curse by herself. Is this the treatment of the protagonist? There are always inhuman adventures? Covering his face which was feeling faint phantom pain, Horitake continued to think and speculate in distress. What exactly is the blue light in Nezuko's body that can slowly eliminate Kibutsuji Muzan's curse? Blue light, blue spider lily? Kibutsuji Muzan has spent thousands of years searching for the blue spider lily. It is said that this flower can allow Kibutsuji Muzan to overcome the sunlight and become a truly ultimate perfect creature. Horitake's eyes widened, he felt as if he was struck by lightning, as if he had come into contact with an incredible truth. Horitake vaguely remembered that before he traveled through time, when netizens were discussing Demon Slayer online, they had this theory: the reason why Nezuko retained her humanity after becoming a ghost, did not eat humans, and even overcame the sunlight later, was because Nezuko accidentally ate the blue spider lily when she was a child. What has been confirmed is that the blue spider lily is a flower that only blooms for 2 or 3 days a year during the day. According to the omnipotent netizens, the blue spider lily grows in the hometown of Nezuko's mother. Once, Nezuko's mother went back to her hometown to visit relatives. When she returned home from her hometown, she brought back some wild vegetables from her hometown, among which the blue spider lily was accidentally mixed. Those dishes were cooked into rice by Nezuko's mother, and Nezuko accidentally ate the blue spider lily. It is also because the medicinal effect of the blue spider lily is still in Nezuko's body that Nezuko is able to slowly overcome cannibalism and sunlight. No wonder Nezuko is sleeping now, no wonder she can transform her body by herself, because she has the medicinal properties of the blue spider lily in her body, and these medicinal properties are helping Nezuko transform. The connection is made. The logic makes sense. Horitake was stunned, his heart filled with shock. Although these are just his guesses so far, they are very true and the logic is sound. In other words, he accidentally learned the biggest secret of Demon Slayer. This is really a pleasant surprise. Here, a huge storm was brewing in Horitake's heart. Over there, Tanjiro looked at Horitake's expression, feeling strange and worried. Why does Senior Horitake look so shocked? What did he discover? Is there anything about Nezuko that shocked Kaigaku-senpai? Or is Nezuko in bad shape? Tanjiro was very worried and asked carefully, Horitake-senpai, what happened to Nezuko? Could you please give me an accurate conclusion? Horitake came out of his thoughts and saw Tanjiro's pleading and worried face, as well as Nezuko's family's eagerness and anticipation. He quickly apologized and explained, sorry, I just noticed something special and got distracted. It's okay, let's talk about Nezuko's situation. Nezuko is doing very well. Although she has been sleeping, Nezuko is relying on sleep to transform her own body, so that her body will not have to eat people in the future and can recover physical strength through sleep. Really? Tanjiro was overjoyed. The Komato family was also happy, Tanjiro's brothers and sisters were very happy, and Tanjiro's parents were also relieved. Urokodaki, who had been silent all the time, also revealed a relieved smile under his Tengu mask. Tanjiro continued to ask, Horigaku-senpai. Does that mean Nezuko won't have to eat humans anymore? Horitake nodded in confirmation, that's right, Nezuko doesn't have to eat humans anymore. She can recover her strength by sleeping. So how long will Nezuko sleep? When will she wake up? At this rate, Nezuko will probably have to sleep for another 1.5 years. 1.5 years. That means I have to sleep for 2 years in total. Don't worry, Tanjiro. It's a good thing that Nezuko can fall asleep. Maybe, once you really join the Demon Slayer Corps, Nezuko will wake up. Tanjiro thought that Horitake's words were just to comfort him, but he never imagined that Horitake's words were actually a prophecy. After comforting Tanjiro again, Horitake looked at Nezuko's family and said hesitantly, Tanjiro, there are some things I need to confirm. Can you and Master Urokodaki go out for a while? Don't peek or eavesdrop. Tanjiro was stunned, thinking of something, and looked at Horitake with a strange and somewhat vigilant look. Horigaku-senpai, you're not going to do anything weird to Nezuko, are you? Chapter 49. Hearing Tanjiro's misunderstanding, Horitake was immediately embarrassed. What do you mean by doing something weird to Nezuko? Am I that kind of person? It seems, a little bit. But is this the right time to talk about this? Horitake is talking to Tanjiro about serious matters right now. Horitake was furious because he was very good at beating Zenitsu and Momoyama. He couldn't help but hit Tanjiro on the head and said in a bad tone, Tanjiro, do you think I'm that kind of person? What would I do to Nezuko if she was like this? What could I do to her? Tanjiro still maintained the necessary hesitation, but... Horitake-senpai, why did you ask us to leave? Why did you insist on staying alone with Nezuko? This... Horitake is really hard to explain. There was no other way, Horitake could only swear an oath and promised Tanjiro earnestly, Tanjiro, I promise with my character that I will never do anything weird to Nezuko. If I do anything wrong, God will strike me with lightning. You have been struck by lightning. Tanjiro hesitated for a few seconds, but seeing Horitake's serious attitude, he agreed, okay, Master Urokodaki and I will go out for a while. Senior Horitake, please don't do anything weird. I know. You still don't trust me. Tanjiro stood up and walked out of the room. Urokodaki also stood up and followed Tanjiro out. Finally, Horitake gave them one more instruction: don't peek or eavesdrop. After giving the instructions, he closed the door of the room, locking Tanjiro and Urokodaki out. Urokodaki sat in the outer room without saying a word. He said that he was an outsider and it was not appropriate for him to speak. Tanjiro frowned, feeling uneasy. Suddenly, Tanjiro remembered something. When he first met Horitake, Horitake once jokingly said that he wanted Nezuko to be his bride. Isn't this really a joke? Tanjiro became even more worried. He wanted to lean against the door to eavesdrop, but he remembered Horitake's warning just now. Forget it, Tanjiro was a good boy, he could only bear it and wait anxiously. In the room, what Tanjiro was worried about did not happen at all. After all, there were not only Horitake and Nezuko in the room, but also the souls of the Komatsu family accompanying Nezuko. How dare Horitake act so presumptuous in front of them? The reason why Horitake asked Tanjiro and Urokodaki to leave was because he wanted to talk to Tanjiro's family. Turning on his spiritual vision, Horitake saw that the Komatsu family was still surrounding Nezuko. He quickly bowed to Nezuko's parents as a junior, uncle, aunt, and brothers and sisters. Hello. Komatsu Takeo, Tanjiro's younger brother, was surprised. This big brother can actually see us. Horitake smiled and pointed at his eyes and explained, my eyes can see things that ordinary people cannot see. Is that so? That's amazing. Komatsu Aoi, the gentle mother, said to Horitake, it's great that Tanjiro and Nezuko have such an amazing friend like you. Oh, by the way. I haven't thanked you for saving Tanjiro and Nezuko before, thank you so much. What Tanjiro's mother was talking about was the first system mission that Horitake took on. As she said this, Komatsu Aoi bowed to Horitake to express her gratitude. It was another such grand thank you gift, and Horitake really couldn't bear it. This is his future mother-in-law, his elder, how could Horitake dare to accept this gift calmly? But the other party is now a soul, and Horitake cannot touch him at all, so there is no way to stop Komatsu Aoi from expressing his gratitude. There was really no other way. To show respect, Horitake could only smile bitterly, bow his head lower than Komatsu Aoi, and said quickly, no, it's just a small favor. When I first met Tanjiro and Nezuko, I saw they were in danger. Of course I couldn't just stand by and watch them die. Auntie, please don't be so polite. After thanking each other, it was Komatsu Tanjiro, the head of the Komatsu family and the father of Tanjiro and Nezuko, who spoke. Although Komatsu Tanjiro looks thin and weak, he has a serious expression and a very intimidating aura. Nephew Horitake, is it okay for me to call you that? Of course, uncle. Well, nephew Horitake, may I ask, is your diagnosis of Nezuko just now true? Horitake said to his future father-in-law earnestly, it's true. My eyes can see things that ordinary people can't see. By observing Nezuko's current state, I have indeed discovered that Nezuko is transforming her body by sleeping. Uncle and aunt, don't worry. When Nezuko wakes up, she will no longer eat people and will only use sleep to recover her strength. I see. Komatsu Tanjiro got the confirmation and his expression softened visibly. He reached out and stroked his daughter Nezuko's forehead, showing a distressed look. This child, it's really hard for her to encounter such a thing. Komatsu Aoi next to her also had tears in her eyes, and Tanjiro, this child has suffered a lot in the past 6 months. I really feel sorry for these two children. The sobbing of his wife also triggered the protective feelings of Komatsu Tanjiro. Yes, I passed away early and was not able to take good care of my family. After I died, it was Tanjiro who supported the family. Now they have encountered something like this. It is really hard for these two children. It is not easy. Seeing that his mother-in-law was about to cry, Horitake quickly comforted her. No one can predict natural disasters or man-made disasters, right? Fortunately, Nezuko's condition is improving, and Tanjiro is working hard every day. I believe that the future of these two siblings must be bright. May I borrow your good words, nephew Horitake? Komatsu Aoi gradually stopped crying, and Komatsu Tanjiro's attitude towards Kaigaku also improved. After getting to know the Komatsu family and exchanging pleasantries, Horitake was about to get down to business, but Komatsu Tanjiro took the initiative to bring up the matter. Nephew, you sent Tanjiro away. Is there something you want to discuss with us alone? Horitake nodded, his expression serious. I can only send Tanjiro away. Tanjiro will definitely face many difficulties in the future. I'm afraid that after Tanjiro knows about you, it will distract him. There are indeed some important things to discuss with several of you here. First of all, Auntie, and a few brothers and sisters, I want to ask you, what does the ghost that killed you look like? Although the experience of being killed was painful and unbearable to recall, Komato Aoi still recalled, it's a man, dressed in black, with black hair and red eyes, and a scary face. Under normal circumstances, he gives people a weird and scary feeling. When he goes crazy and kills people, he is even scarier. You can tell at a glance that he is not a human. Tanjiro's brothers and sisters also described the situation at that time, but the details were rather fragmentary and there was no information worth noting. Although he had expected it, Horitake was still certain after hearing their description. The ghost that killed the Komato family was most likely Kibutsuji Muzan himself. Other features don't count, after all, Muzan can be male or female, old or young, but the feature of red eyes is too obvious. Muzan itself has red pupils. After listening to their stories, Horitake sighed, the one who murdered you all is most likely Kibutsuji Muzan, the origin of all evil, the source of all tragedy, and the ultimate target and greatest enemy of our demon slayer core. Sooner or later I will dry that guy into bacon. Chapter 50. Kaigaku briefly explained to the Komato family who Kibutsuji Muzan was. When Komato Aoi and the children heard that there were such people in the world, they felt worried and uneasy. However, Komato Tanjiro seemed to know something about this and remained indifferent and speechless. Then, Horitake told the Komato family another very important thing, Uncle and Aunt, I just saw a blue light inside Nezuko's body. This power is protecting Nezuko and helping her transform her body. So, I guess Nezuko may have eaten a plant called Blue Spider Lily. Blue Spider Lily. Now, even Komato Tanjiro is confused. Horitake explained to them how important the Blue Spider Lily is. It is said that the Blue Spider Lily has a magical effect and power on ghosts. Kibutsuji Muzan has been looking for the Blue Spider Lily for 1,000 years. Relying on the Blue Spider Lily, Kibutsuji Muzan is able to overcome the sun and move freely during the day, becoming even more dangerous and powerful. Komato covered her mouth, very worried, then we must not let him get the Blue Spider Lily. Fortunately, Kibutsuji Muzan has been searching for this flower for 1,000 years but has not found it. It was Komato Tanjiro who reacted and realized the key point, nephew Horitake, you just said that Nezuko might have eaten Blue Spider Lily. Horitake nodded, yes, I have such a guess, because I found that Nezuko is now relying on that blue power to transform her body, so that she doesn't need to eat humans. This is similar to the effect of the Blue Spider Lily in the legend. Komato Tanjiro's expression turned ugly, if that's the case, wouldn't Nezuko be in danger? Well, if the news that Nezuko ate the Blue Spider Lily gets out, Nezuko will be in danger. Kibutsuji Muzan will definitely use all means to snatch Nezuko away. However, the fact that Nezuko ate the Blue Spider Lily is just my guess, and I will never tell anyone. As long as this is kept secret, Nezuko will be safe. After hearing this, Komato Tanjiro and Komato Aoi breathed a sigh of relief. Now it was time for Horitake's most pressing question. He looked at Komato Aoi with sincerity and seriousness, Auntie, since Nezuko may have eaten the Blue Spider Lily, I want to know, where is the Blue Spider Lily? This is very important to us. If I know this, I may be able to gain an advantage in the future war with Muzan. Regarding this question, Komato Aoi shook her head in annoyance, even if you ask me this, Nezuko has eaten so many things that I still don't know exactly. And I didn't even know what the Blue Spider Lily was before, and I really didn't know where it was. Horitake sighed, okay, Auntie, let me ask you another way. Where is your hometown? Komato Aoi was a little surprised by the change of topic, but she still told Horitake. Horitake successfully found out the location of Komato Aoi's hometown and memorized the address deeply in his heart. Komato Tanjiro looked at Horitake with some doubt, nephew Horitake, you seem to know a lot of things. Horitake didn't want to hide it from his future father-in-law, so he used the same excuse as always, Uncle, you don't know that my eyes can see things that ordinary people can't see. I can even see a little bit of the past, present, and future. Everyone was shocked. Komato Tanjiro has some guesses, could it be that the blue-red spider lily you saw is in? Horitake shook his head, I once saw a moment in the past when Aunt Komato Aoi returned to her hometown. When she returned home, she brought back a lot of wild vegetables and cooked them for her family. Among these wild vegetables, there are green-red spider lilies mixed in. The Komato family was very surprised, and Kamado Aoi herself was even more confused. Is there such a thing? It's been so long, I can't even remember it clearly. Kamado Tanjiro suddenly realized, I see, that's why you asked where Aoi's hometown is. Yes, I need to go to Aunt Koizi's hometown to see if I can find the blue spider lily and try my luck. In addition, this matter is very serious. I will never tell it to anyone, and I ask you not to tell it to anyone either. But then again, you are all in soul state now and there is no way to tell others. This information is currently kept confidential and Nezuko is currently safe. I see. Kamado leaned over and stroked Nezuko's head very gently, with a loving and compassionate look on her face. I never thought that the wild vegetables I accidentally brought back from my hometown would be Nezuko's life-saving medicine. This is really... Looking at Nezuko, Horitake echoed, it's not just a life-saving medicine. Maybe the blue spider lily that Nezuko ate is related to whether she can become a human again in the future. When it comes to this question, the Kamado family becomes excited, especially Nezuko's mother. Does Nezuko have a chance to become a human in the future? Of course there is a chance. What kind of chance? Kamado Aoi's question reminded Horitake of another person, or to be more precise, another ghost. Although she is a ghost, she is a kind ghost. It is thanks to her potion that Nezuko was able to turn into a human in the end. Uncle and aunt, you know, my eyes can see some of the future. The reason why I am sure that Nezuko can turn back into a human is because I saw a short period of the future. But I'm not in a position to say it because once I say it, things may change in the future. But I assure my uncle and aunt that Nezuko has a chance to become a human. I also expressed to my uncle and aunt that I would do my best to help Tanjiro and turn Nezuko back into a human. Horitake's tone and attitude were quite firm, and one could feel his unquestionable determination. At least the Kamado couple, seeing Horitake's attitude, were willing to believe him. Seeing Horitake's determination, Kamado Aoi smiled with emotion, and tears of emotion appeared in the corners of her eyes. Thank you for doing so much for Nezuko and Tanjiro, kid, thank you. As she said this, Kamado Aoi pushed her husband. After being signaled by his wife, Kamado Tanjiro looked at his daughter Nezuko, feeling somewhat reluctant, and sighed helplessly, and said to Horitake seriously, well, this is a request from a father. Tanjiro and Nezuko, I'll leave them to you, nephew. I'll leave them both, to you, nephew. Horitake was stunned and replied hastily, don't worry, uncle and aunt Tanjiro and I hit it off right away. I like Nezuko very much, and I will do my best to help them. After saying this, Horitake realized Kamado Tanjiro's hidden meaning. Kamado Tanjiro is entrusting Nezuko to me? Is this what you mean? Could it be that I am being too sentimental? Horitake looked at Kamado Tanjiro excitedly. Kamado Tanjiro had a sullen look on his face, but he didn't refute and simply agreed. Come to think of it, if he wasn't dead, there was really no other way, which father would entrust his daughter to another boy? Kamado Aoi smiled with relief and joy. Seeing their expressions, Horigaku understood that he was not being self-indulgent and that they had truly entrusted the task to him. What a pleasant surprise! There were quite a few unexpected surprises today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.